Well, hello again, everyone. I'm Gary Gonzo, and welcome to P1 coverage of the Dark Horse 2,000-mile ride series, the Grand Slam Tour of the IndyCar Triple Crown tracks on iRacing. We're here tonight in Fontana for round 2 of the series for the GETTRX 500, presented by The Joy of Driving. Back with me again this week, I like to call him the Catalyst. He's no longer the catalyst to P1. He was the catalyst of Race First, but he's no longer the catalyst to P1. But he's good to be here nevertheless because he really gets things started up here, is Andrew Wood. Andrew, welcome back. First of all, happy birthday. Welcome back to the broadcast. And welcome back to doing a little DW12 IndyCar racing here on Sunday afternoon, where we got about 19 cars lining up here for a 500-miler here at good old rest in peace Fontana.
Yeah, good to be with you, Gary, and thanks very much for the warm welcome there. Yeah, this is such a unique series here. This little mini summer swing, the 2,000-mile ticket. Yeah, I think you had another name for it that you were trying to come up with, but it's actually a pretty cool just a visit to all the big tracks out there and really showcasing the speed that these cars have and the different people that drive these cars so often and their technique and showing off just their racecraft and the vigor of carrying this a car like the DW12 forward. Sorry, I'm tripping over my words here, but I think it's a really exciting series, and I'm unfortunately I missed the last race, and I'm sorry about that. I probably missed a good one, but I'm really happy and really excited to see what these cars are going to put on for us tonight.
We'll do a real quick review of last week's race, but real quick, the rule set for tonight: 100% fuel, unlimited tires, still the one fast repair. This is really the one series that I like that these guys hate to use that fast repair. And they certainly don't abuse it. So even though this has a fast repair, do not let that taste linger in your mouth. These guys very much are responsible when it comes to using that fast repair. Unlike some other series where you just see guys throwing it around out there and go, oh, I'll just wreck the whole field knowing that we all have a fast repair. Not the case here. These guys are pretty respectful. Pit road speed limit 60 miles per hour. We have a 2-mile D-shaped oval here, 250 laps, 500 miles. And the winner receives a watch from the Watchman, Mark Cohn's personal collection. Here are the points from last week, and not actually last week. I say that because most all my races are last week, but this was really from last month. And here are the points. Here you can see them right there. Stouffer with the win last race at Michigan. Craig Forsyth, P2. Mark Murphy, P3. Peterson almost with a podium there in the 500-mile at P4. And Haisong, P5. We only had one caution for 3 laps. A very well-behaved race last trip at Michigan. But that is your standings. That's exactly how they finished. And, of course, it was a 40-1-2 with Stouffer and Forsyth on the top 2 steps and IAR in P3. Currently with 3 minutes and 50 seconds left to play here in qualifying. We are doing 2-lap average speed qualifying here at Fontana. So really, even though I'm showing you the fastest lap, that is not indicative of really how they might line up, as we're watching Jeff Haisong come to pit road to practice a green flag pit stop. And good thing he's practicing it now.
That was actually a pretty exciting pit in there. That was a good catch on the camera. So,
and I don't think there's Hobson. Hobson has showed up. I was wondering where he was. We saw him last on Thursday night in the ERL race that we had at Motegi. He is on the racetrack for his qualification attempt. I do have a bit of a 2-lap average, and he has not turned on anything yet. He has not turned any laps yet, so I do have a 2-lap average script that I can try to run. I think he's getting ready to take his green flag this time by. Look at him glued down to the white line. Not really going very high in the corners to arc in at all. Now he's kind of floating out high, coming off the corner exit. And arcing it down into 3, back to the white line. AJ Hobson. You can't have an IndyCar race without an AJ in the lineup. Here he comes at the completion of lap 1. Let's see if the script works. Nope, it's not working.
Yeah, sometimes when you do these 2-lap average races, everything kind of gets thrown off, especially from a programming standpoint here. But I like the idea of not having these cars kind of cheesed up a little bit and just going out there and blasting the 2 fastest possible laps that you can. So it's definitely a nice touch for a mini series that's kind of an experimental go here.
Yeah, and we'll get the 2-lap average again at, let's see if it comes up again. Nope, it doesn't. We'll get 2-lap average again at Pocono and then go back to the standard 4-lap average speed qualifying for Indianapolis. AJ Hobson, he slots in, where does he slot in? I don't think he, because he topped the wall, it's going to screw things up. So we're going to just, we're just going to see where he will line up when the lineups come out. Mark Cohn on the racetrack right now. He is the host with the most right now. He's got the putting a watch on the line to the winner from his personal collection. He has quite the watch collection.
Probably from all those Rolex 24-hour wins that he has. Oh, I'm sorry. That might be a different kind of watch.
Here's down the backstretch, just a lane off the bottom, avoiding all those big bumps out by the wall. Arcs out just a little bit so he can get the car to turn nice and easy down to the apex in 3 and 4. Back out, keeping it 2 lanes off the wall, down the front straight onto the apron. Oh, there, now the script's working. Lap 1 of 32.4.
Did you unplug it and replug it?
That's right. Did you reboot it?
Yeah, it's a funny thing just because in the last couple weeks at work I've become more of an IT person. It's been thrust onto me, so that's kind of my first question I have if I'm pretending to be someone that I'm not.
Have you seen the IT Crowd yet? On I think it's on Netflix. It's the name of the show. Have you ever seen that before?
I have not.
Okay, you will definitely appreciate it then, because the first thing that when the phone rings there, though, like, he actually says, "Hello, IT, have you shut it off and turned it back on again?" That's how they answer. So I think, yeah, you need to check that out. I think anybody that's gotten into IT needs to check out the IT Crowd on Netflix. It's a British show. Sometimes the humor is a little bit different, but yeah, if you've been getting into IT, you should check it out. And as I like to say, IT, it pays the bills. So
absolutely.
Well, we're getting ready to line up here as qualifications are complete. And let's get today's starting lineup in here for the GETTRX 500 presented by the Joy of Driving. On the front row, and looks like we got some errors with the overlay, and we'll get that fixed. We're gonna have Peterson and Forsyth, Wagner and Chris Fowler in row 2, Mark Murphy and Mark Cohn in row 3, Gary Lovern and Chris Stouffer, last race winner, in row 4, Hysong and Herrick in row 5. Moving on back, Rafi Eckert and Nick Wheeler in row 6. JB and Edson Santos, the champion of the VOR DW12 Series Season 3 this weekend, as well as winning at their Indy 200, making a second appearance this weekend. Edson Santos and Yari there in row 7. Casey Pahutsky looking to rebound from a couple of bad starts in the ERL, is lining up in row 8 alongside Joseph Morales in 16th, and Devin Ramsey and AJ Hobson back there in 17th and 18th.
Good turnout tonight of 18 cars. Plenty for a super speedway situation, and if it's anything like last race, as you mentioned, perhaps we'll go flag to flag without any issues and see the best out of these cars. So let's hope for that.
And I don't know if anyone is hearing the animal barking in the background. Apologies. And getting ready to go green as the field is coming through turn number 2 down the backstretch. And let's get rid of the tree. We don't need that quite yet.
One thing I'm excited to see, Gary, as we start this race is how these drivers are going to either fight for position or immediately get into a fuel save situation, because these cars, unlike the IR18s, don't have a lot of adjustments that you can make to the car for fuel maps and everything, so it's all done with your foot. And it could mean that these guys really want to race right away and make up some spots, or save a little fuel right off the bat.
Yeah, these are a lot tougher to save fuel in. Yeah, you'll definitely have to work it with your mind, and that right foot of yours definitely in the draft helps. Getting ready to go green. Green flag in the air, and Eric Peterson on the pole position, getting a jump on the field. Going to keep that low line going into 1. We're already 3 wide in the backstretch, or in the mid-pack. Both the leader energy cars with A.J. Hobson on the outside going into 1. Peterson down to the bottom, shutting the door on Wagner. Wagner going to get a run on the bottom, down low. Going to go 3 wide as the Watchman's going to split the show in the middle. Oh, 3 wide, 3 lines, 3 rows deep.
Come on, Gary, this is Auto Club Speedway. We could fit 5 wide if we really wanted to, but yes, 3 wide, and that answered my question. Everyone's really going for it right now. They want to pick up the spots that they may have missed from a bad qualifying session. AJ Hobson's definitely a recipient of that, trying to jump on the outside of those leaner energy cards, as you mentioned. And right now, you see the leaders are immediately starting to defend, and we're going to probably go 3 wide into turn 3 again. Power move by Chris Fowler on the outside. He lost a couple spots on the start, but it looks like he is going to just kind of hang out right behind Peterson. Not really, he had a bit of momentum there, but I think he just wants to sit, save maybe a teaspoon of fuel here and there, and the more you do that, the later you can run into the stint there. And yeah, if you have Matt Wagner defending the bottom like that, it's very, very difficult to try and take the lead. So I think it's best for some of these guys sitting like 5th, 6th, 7th or so to just sit there and see how the guys ahead are racing and see where your best advantage is and make the move later on.
There you go. Just show you the starting lineup one more time. Now we had got that fixed, so everybody sees their name properly.
Pretty stagnant throughout much of the field here. We have AJ Hobson that definitely picked up a few spots on that start there. He started 18th, and he's going to be fighting for the top 10 right now. I believe he just took 10th place from Yari. So you're going to see him make his way up front as he typically does. Yeah.
Lovern in the wall, as well as Fowler in the wall. Kissing the wall there on corner exit of 4.
Forsyth also touched it as well.
Now we got to wonder if
sneaks up on you.
Yeah, it does, and you got to wonder now if there's any damage on Fowler. Now that doesn't look like there's much damage on Lovern. Lovern's going to be in the draft behind Forsyth. I think you mentioned Forsyth went up there and grabbed the wall a little bit, and then wash up there right in front of AJ. I'm sure he didn't want that. He has to check up a little bit. So we got a couple of these DW12s, and with now possible wall damage, not behaving very well. As long as they can stay in the draft, they can maintain pace. But as soon as they fall out of the draft, Fowler clipping the apron. And as we like to say here on the program, apron bad.
Yeah, it's only lap 6 here, Gary, and these guys are really going for it. And it's really too early to start really pushing it to get up into that outside wall. So again, this is a track where it does look a little windy outside from the forecast that I'm looking at here, so it's possible they could have caught a gust of wind, but it's more than likely some dirty air following the cars up ahead. They, both Gary and Forsyth and Chris Fowler, as you mentioned, they were all kind of in that pack, and the hunt for dirty air is a really difficult one, especially if you're trying to kind of keep your momentum going to get some larger runs. But it definitely seems like Chris Fowler is hurting from that damage a little bit. He's starting to drop off a little bit But I think Gary and Craig are both fine. But we have to keep an eye on that turn 4 wall as this race continues, because that is definitely one of those turns that's very difficult on such a big oval like this.
Well, I should check with you on the wind condition, since you are the weatherman. What are the wind conditions out there? We got ambient, and we have track temperature readily available. It's 6,700 degree track temperature, so the track temperature is kind of up there. We've seen hotter, but what is the wind situation?
We got it coming out of the west, which would be blowing from turn 3 and 4 towards turn 1 and 2. At about 6, it's fluctuating between 6 and 10 miles per hour.
So those are some pretty good gusts that could disrupt these cars. We're watching a pack in the or battle in the mid pack here. Yari Brubacher, Edson Santos. Santos got a little tight there on corner exit, floats up to the wall. This whole second group that's being led right now by Rafi Eckert is kind of in danger of losing track of a lead group of 7. Fowler is, despite maybe possibly being damaged, is sucked right up to the back of Craig Forsyth, who's this is a battle for 6th and 7th right there. But that is a lead pack of 7 that is kind of starting to pull away a little bit from that second pack led by Rafi Eckert.
Looks like Matt Wagner has decided to give up that lead. Not sure if we mentioned that, but he's sitting in 4th place right now, so I think he's on the fuel safe strategy. But Cohn is now taking the lead. Actually, Murphy has just taken the lead from Cohn, as I mentioned that. But I'm noticing that despite the damage that Fowler took, it doesn't seem like there's much of a breakaway. You have Rafi Eckert that sort of dropped off from the top 6 a little bit, kind of claws it back a little bit as the cars up ahead are still hunting for clean air, but most of the pack is still together. No one's really dropped off the back throughout the whole field, so the field's staying relatively close, and that just shows the ability of these guys in this race in order to stay close together and not fall back and have a shot for the win.
Yeah, 222 laps at Michigan under green, only 3 under caution, so a similar setup here today at California. Can they go just as many green flag laps here? We shall see. So far, they're off to a good start, minding their P's and Q's. Right now, Cohn, Murphy, Stouffer all tightly packed together, trying to work together down the backstretch to try to separate. Oh, Rafi Eckert, I think, getting really close to the turn 4 wall, at least enough for a netcode puff of smoke to appear.
And again, he's trying his best to catch up to that pack up ahead that has sort of started to pull away from him a little bit, and he's dragging the rest of the field pretty much more or less with him. Some of these guys at the back of the field here are really just staying in single file condition and just playing nice and making sure they don't lose the lead pack. Oh, a tiny bit of contact between Nick Wheeler and Jeff Hysong there.
Let's go back and check that out.
Nothing really too bad. Just a little touch. I think it was a misjudgment on the draft there. They got a little wiggly.
Yeah, speaking of playing nice, Rafi Eckert comes into the Dark Horse Discord and asks us if he could race today. And my response to him was, as long as you Brazilian Energy guys save some wins for the rest of the teams out there. The Brazilian Energy guys have really whooped it up on the rest of these guys in the fields of the DW12. And there's a reason why, as Eckert explained in the Discord, because iRacing's pretty expensive for Brazilians. The DW12 is a free car. A lot of the Brazilians have taken a liking to the DW12 just because of the economy of price.
And they picked such a great car to drive. You and I both raced that Lionheart DW12 and Gary a couple seasons ago, or a couple years ago now. And
forever.
It was some of the most fun racing I've had. I didn't really race the DW12 much when I first joined iRacing. It was kind of the end of the era before the IR18, so I did about a season or 2 of official racing in it before the car switched over. But driving the car is so much fun, and it's got such a unique characteristic to it, and the fact that there is no real aid in the roll bar and weight jacker that the IR18 has really kind of puts the ability into your own hands to drive the car and stay and use the ability wisely.
Craig Forsyth getting a run on the high side. He's bringing Fowler with him. Both the Leader Energy cars now are together. They are with the lead group. Rafi Eckert. Multiple times. Ooh, Stouffer might have caught the apron a little bit. A little squirrely there.
Checking out this second pack here. Now we have the top 10 is pretty much pulled away. Top 9, I should say. Rafi Eckert dragged that group up, but they left poor Yari behind, and Yari is trying to swap drafts his way with Gary Laverne and who's this? Wheeler? Oh, Ramsey. Devin Ramsey. Sorry, I got my views mixed up here. Yeah, Devin Ramsey and Yari are trying their best to swap draft their way towards this pack again as they're starting to pull away a tiny bit. Yeah, I saw that. Just a little bit close to the wall there for Edson. He's really pushing it.
Edson, winner of the VOR DW12 Indy 200 this weekend by 0.003 seconds over John Christensen and Liam O'Sullivan. That is the closest finish that I've ever broadcasted there at Indianapolis. That beats the 0.004 margin of victory that Caleb Bency beat King Robert Malechka II, your teammate, at the ERL race, along with Jason Brophy there for that three-way finish. So, yeah, very much a Freedom Hoosier 100 finish there for the VOR series. And he's got that win and that championship for that series under his belt. So he's got a lot of momentum coming into the race here. Rafi Eckert, his teammate, is the Season 1 champion of the VOR DW12 series. They call it the Iconic series over here. Of course, when these cars were being developed, it was called the Iconic program. So both these guys definitely know how to win these cars. Rafi does have one win in DW12, or excuse me, in Dark Horse competition. He has 5 starts, 1 win.
I think Devin Ramsey has finally caught the back of this pack here. The top 9 have fallen into a single file condition. Not sure if that's just because of the condition of these tires, but or more of a fuel safe situation, but the pack is going to start coming together again. They brought Ramsey, JB, Gary, and Tice Song is coming up as well. Yeah, you can see that it's definitely turned into a single file procession here. No one's really trying to push it, and I'm sure that's just as well because we're getting kind of close to thinking about what our pit stop situation is here. And it's going to be the first pit stop and the first one that puts these guys under pressure, so everyone wants to make sure that they're doing it right. So it's good to focus your brain on thinking about where your braking point's going to be, maybe warming the brakes up a little bit so you don't lock it up. And I'm not surprised these guys have kind of turned into a single file situation right now. We may see one more push to try and get 1 or 2 more spots before the pit stops begin.
And Devin Ramsey up 7 spots. He's in another 4D car out there. He's in the car to the inside. That is Stouffer. And are we going to get a caution? We should get a caution. He's going to bounce back out to and there it is. And that's critical now. We're only in a 4-race championship. And already, I hate to say it, championship implications because we're only 4 races on the schedule. 1 mess up. And even though he is the winner from the first race on the schedule, it doesn't take much to fall in the standings. And he just got loose on corner exit. Let's check that back and give me your thoughts on what you saw there.
I think you're going to see something a little bit different from your estimation there. But let's take a look.
All right, let's go back here. He is right behind Mark Murphy. Maybe we get another camera angle here. And he had the tow. He was not going to be able to drive that one back. Did we catch the apron a little bit? No? Oh, no. Contact. A little side check from Mark Murphy. Oh.
Just as I mentioned before, with the tires starting to wear, and some of these guys maybe want to make a move or two before the pit stop rotation, and looks like that's exactly what Chris Stouffer was trying to do. He thought he might have had a run on the bottom side, but the tires just decided to give up, and they completely just gave up. And sure enough, there was contact there, unfortunately for Stouffer. I think it seems that there will be a fast repair used here, but you're right. There's a toe involved there, so it may take a little bit of time for Stouffer to get himself reacquainted again. But hopefully he can rejoin without losing that lap, or if he loses the lap, just get it back later on with another caution rotation.
Now, I believe the league does use the lucky dog, which is nice, because if we have another caution, and he could be the first car 1 lap down or even 2 laps down and no one else is behind him, he will get one of those back. But yeah, looking at him trying to drive this thing back, yeah, his wheel is turned 180 degrees and he's still not going straight. So yeah, just go for the toe. That is a disappointing start very early on, and we were right at the cusp of pit stops. Let's get back to live television. And Jimmy Herrick is decided that he is going to stay out. I'm not sure if he missed pit road or he's just going to try to get some laps led and try some time at the front.
I'm checking out Mark Murphy's pit stop to see if he had damage and or used the fast repair, but I think he got away with any damage situation there.
And here comes Jim Herrick in the pit road. Okay, so looking at Stouffer, still working on pit road. So now it's possible that he did not have his fast repair box ticked. And then when you tow and you don't have it ticked, then you'll get back to the pits and it'll say, I think it gives you the whole message. It's, well, there he goes. Now he's getting worked on. So whatever damage was fixed, then the fast repair kicks in. Now he's snapped back together, goes up on the jacks, gets a new set of tires, and full fuel and away. He's going to be 3 laps down or 2 laps down. We'll see.
2 laps down
as we shake this out. Yeah.
I hope he barbecued something nice there. I saw a lot of smoke coming up out of that car as he was trying to figure everything out. But yeah, it looks like he's back out on track again. He's going to try and get back into this race as best he can. And hey, you never know. With these 500-mile races, anything can happen. But it seems that the behavior of these guys is very, very calm for the first probably half of the race or so before you really start to see some action later on. So Chris can only hope that some stuff gets mixed up and puts himself in a spot where he gets some lucky dogs here and there and finds himself back up front again, or at least back on the lead lap with an opportunity to get up front. But his whole mindset now is definitely going to be changing for the race of what he has to do and how he's going to race from here.
Coming to green, it wouldn't be the first time someone's come back from 2 laps down to get himself back into contention in a 500-miler. Of course, we have Jacques Villeneuve and the 1995 Indianapolis 500. And then I worked a broadcast over on the ERL for one of their Pocono 500s, and Jason Brophy came back from 2 laps down to win their 500-mile race. So I've seen it in the real world. I've seen it virtually, and I see the green flag back out on the racetrack. We are back racing here at Fontana for the GETTRX 500 presented by the Joy of Racing.
Eckert on the bottom. Looks like there was a little bit of a checkup from the cars up ahead of him. He took it 3 wide. He's passed 3 cars already. Should be up to P8 by now. After that maneuver, and he's going to be trying to set up. Who is this? Laverne, Gary Laverne, perhaps. Oh, he almost touches the wall there just for good measure. He couldn't really gotten much closer there, but that puts Rafi Eckert up in P8 from restarting a little farther back than I'm sure he wanted.
Murph, I think big run.
Probably had a bit of a bad pit stop there. I would imagine that put him there, but yeah, already you see that the top 5 is completely gapped the rest of the field, and it's time for these guys to start figuring it out and working it together to see how they can pick up these spots again. Yeah,
it doesn't take much to lose the draft in these cars. The draft envelope, and this is one of the things I wish that these cars weren't necessarily on legacy status with iRacing. I understand why they're on legacy status. 3 wide, going back to Laverne, Murphy, and Ramsey right there going into 1. They still do put a little work into these cars. In fact, they updated the damage model, one of the last updates this year. But I wish they would at least extend the draft envelope to at least the same length that the IR-18 is, since the DW12 is effectively the IR-18 with the old aero kit. Or, of course, the IR-18 is the DW12 with the new aero kit. I should say it that way. That's proper. But at least extend the draft envelope to the same length that the IR-18 goes back, about a second and a half. These really only go back to 8/10, 9/10, maybe a second. And if you get outside of that, you've lost the draft.
You know, I'm going to take the counterpoint on that, Gary. You know, in terms of good racing, yes, perhaps, but you know, it's how these cars race, obviously. So if the draft envelope is a little bit smaller in these cars, everyone from the back of the field wants more to get the draft right away. But if you're leading and you're able to pull out that 1 second gap, and you can just sit back and say, okay, I'm not being caught by the car behind.
True enough.
I guess it depends on what side of the field you're on. Are you at the front where you're able to pull away, or are you in the back where you really want to try and snip that draft? Because I know I've been on both sides of that before.
Well, the one thing I think everybody, I don't want to say everybody, because then you're going to be the heel to my babyface comment there. I'd like to see the tools enabled for this car, but I mean, you talked about it, how you like driving this car because they don't have the tools. Of course, if you do want the tools, you can drive open setup. The tools are available to you in open setup, but very few people do open setup in these cars anymore. Not an awful lot of open setup still available out there. Plus, I think the tire model on these is a 1 or 2 models behind what the IR-18 currently is. But it's
I think it's 2, yeah.
Yeah, they've changed the tire model on these cars from what they used to race on before, back in its heyday. So even those open setups that you might find probably aren't any good anymore. So if someone wants to put a lot of development into open setups on these things, you might be looking at some interest by some people.
Well, the only thing I'd say about that is that we have an open setup league for the IR-05, which is the car before this one.
Yeah.
So there's people that are putting in setups for two iterations of this car ago.
Yeah, the CIS.
Long-running series. I think
Yeah.
they're on their 8th or 9th season now, so...
I was talking with their one of their admins, see if we can't get them on P1, but I'm not sure we're going to be able to pull that one off. They're getting pretty good coverage from where they're at right now, but can't have all the IndyCar leagues on P1 all in the same place. But it'd be nice.
We've cycled through quite a few broadcasters in that series, so don't give up. Looking at, since we're talking about the draft envelope, as you can see, what do you see here, Gary? You see that P6 and that group has slowly started to chip away at that group up ahead, and that's done by the great swap drafting abilities of Murphy and Gary Laverne, and they're bringing the entire field up with them. So we're about to see the whole field spread out by about 3 seconds or so.
Oh, you saw it too, Eckert and Ramsey.
We saw that developing from a mile away, didn't we?
It's like, hold your breath, boys. Also involved in there is Chris Stouffer, but he is 2 laps down. So he's back there kind of just riding this out now with one of his teammates. That's his team owner, Jimmy Herrick, right behind him. I don't know what should Stouffer do. If you're in his spot, do you just kind of chill out back there? You've used your fast repair. You got a long ways to go. Do you save fuel and try to go as long as possible and then hope when there's a pit stop that you're made up your couple of laps and then a caution occurs and that's allowing you to get back on the lead lap? I mean, how do you strategize being 2 laps down at this point?
Yeah, I think it depends on what is happening around you. If it's an obvious fuel save where everybody's really doing the big lift and everything, you want to get to the front. And you want to be out front just in case of a caution. You get all that track position back. But I don't think these guys are doing any fuel save at all. So
there's contact right there. And that is Edson Santos and Chris Stouffer. And that is day done for Stouffer.
Wow, that was
quick.
That was a tough one.
And we were riding with Stouffer when it happened. Let's go back and take a look at that. That came rather quickly and rather shockingly. They're racing each other. Now, Stouffer, I think when we joined him on the in-car, he got really close enough to the wall where Netcode executed the you made a wall contact sound. Actually, he might have. It's really close. Then he gets a run on Santos in front of him. Comes to the inside, and not sure exactly what happened here. Let's watch again. Santos just come down on him, and it just did. Oh gosh, and another, and Ramsey gets taken out. Another one of the 4D cars. So 2 4D cars get taken out here. What's your take on this one?
I had to watch it a couple times myself. It looks like Edson just kind of turned down, expecting the arc to be there, but Stouffer he has every right to kind of turn as late as he wants to turn, and unfortunately Edson just turned across the front.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
It's always tough being the outside car in this situation, especially when the car of Stouffer is in your blind spot, because you want to do the arc as best you can to try and maximize the banking to turn the car and everything. But once you have a car on the inside, you have to kind of stick to your line and do it when you know that it's safe to turn down.
But that's why you have a spotter, right? The spotter should be telling you, inside,
yes.
still there. You're not clear. So do you, when you hear that you're going too wide into the corner and you know you have someone behind you, you just kind of hold the steering wheel that much later going into the corner, trying to make it on the high line, and instead of turning down? I mean, is that what you would do, or would you just kind of roll out of it, and being that you're early in the race, and let the guy go ahead and then tuck in behind him and maybe draft down the backstretch on him?
It's such a hard call because your spotter is saying there's a car on the inside, but it doesn't necessarily explain where the car is on the inside.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a car on the inside. So if you're expecting the car to be turning down already, then that leaves you enough lane to open up or turn down as well. Well, lane open to turn down as well. And sometimes there's a little bit of a timing issue when you're the outside car. I've done it myself where I've tried to turn into a corner with a car on the inside, but they haven't quite turned the wheel yet, and next thing I know, I'm sideways and making contact. So it's very, very difficult because these are millisecond and inch perfect maneuvers these guys are making, and if you kind of disrupt the style there and how they're doing it, then it results in an incident like we saw.
Everybody came in for lap 39. Wheeler and Brubacher, JB, stay out. Although Wheeler now coming down pit road to get his service at lap 40, moving JB to the lead. JB now up 12 spots. JB did check in the chat here before going racing here. He was trying to fix his wheel. He says seems to work now, but somehow my second quality lap didn't count either. He says 500 miles to make that up. That's a good approach to that. And he sacrificed his first lap because I forgot. He didn't know it was a 2-lap average. Oh, well. Well, Wheeler is done. Service for him. He rejoins the field in 13th. Highsong coming down pit road very strategically, topping off the tank, along with Joseph Morales. Devin Ramsey gets the fast repair done to his car. He is now 2 laps down, and Edson Santos rejoins 2 laps down. So, wow, okay, so big-time championship implications already. Last race's winner, Chris Stouffer, is out and is going to be looking at 18th out of an 18-car field here for his finish today.
It's almost impossible to come back from a DNF in only a 4-race series, unless there's a drop week, which I imagine that this is such a short series that they're not going to have a drop week situation. So, yeah, I think any chance for Chris Stouffer to win this championship or this little mini series we have going on here is probably squashed right there.
Now, he is the one of the Pocono whisperers that I know, and Pocono is next on the schedule, so we'll see. I mean, battle already between Hobson and Fowler and Murphy. They got checked up there a little bit in the mid-pack. Not a good restart for Murph. That caused Fowler to try to go to the inside. Now Fowler to the outside. Hobson going to follow Murph on the bottom and by Fowler.
It's definitely one of those things where you think the guy ahead of you is a little slow on the restart, so everyone wants to try and get in front of him to try and make up some time, but sometimes you trip over yourselves doing that in the process, and it doesn't look like these guys have done that, but I think the top 5 have now pulled out quite a gap, but we've seen it in the last couple restarts that give it like 8 to 10 laps and everybody will be close together again. So it's time to just sit in line and see what happens.
Yeah, talk about restarts in these cars. They are hard to restart in because you need to really be on it. Otherwise, just as soon as you're not on it, you're out of the draft.
Gary, we lost Matt Wagner. I can't find him.
Yep. I think he just blinked out.
He is gone as of now. I don't think he's reappeared yet. And he was restarted in second, so that'd be a real shame if he does not reappear here on the track. Let's give it a second here. I don't think he's come. I think he's dropped, and that's very unfortunate for Matt Wagner, who is running up front for much of this race here. But sorry, Gary, I totally was not paying attention to anything you asked me there. Can you start over?
My experience with these cars, and I'm sure you've done when we were in Lionheart together, we talked about it. The number of restarts we did in these cars. If you're not on it, and somehow the guy in front of you is not on it and checks up a little bit, as soon as you're out of the draft, it can be just as quick as missing your restart point, not hitting the pedal immediately. Just as quick as doing that, you're out of the draft.
It's so important to ensure that you get a good restart. It's very difficult to do because you kind of have to take an average of where everybody restarts, which could be good or bad. There's no real science to it. It's just a matter of paying very, very close attention. If you could try and find a little corner of a rear wing of a car 3 cars ahead of you to see once they start accelerating, that's your best chance to do it. Some cars pop out of line, you see when they start moving, but that kind of hinders the progress of everyone behind, which might not make you many friends. So it's very tricky. You have to kind of just feel it. You have to feel when and get an idea of when cars ahead of you typically restart.
Watching a battle back here between both the green cars in this field. Hobson and Fowler side by side for the better part of the last 2 laps. Not helping them maintain pace with that group in front of them. They're now following about 2 seconds back.
This group back here, these green cars, as you mentioned, they're trying to sort it out, but unfortunately AJ is the kind of guy who likes to fight for every position he can, so hopefully these guys sort it out and they get themselves into line, because that group is pulling away very quickly.
AJ and Fowler, both of those guys love to, neither one of them wants to give up an inch.
Here comes Murphy down the middle. I think he's finally decided, hey, let me give it a shot. Let me see if I can swap draft up here. And sometimes the switch is good. Sometimes you can gel well with someone else and claw that time back.
And there's 4 fast cars in that group, or 4 fast drivers for sure. Hobson, Murphy, Fowler, Eckert all have pace. 48 of 250. Already 2 stops in. Here are your 2 cautions versus the 1 caution that we had the last race.
Hobson has pinned himself to the bottom line here, and I don't know if he's playing the swap draft game or if he's just trying to make the shortest way around the track, but these guys are definitely losing pace to the cars up ahead. They did 33, mid to high 33s last time when the leaders are doing low 33s, so they're going to continue to lose time unless they really organize themselves into some swap draft routine here.
Of course, Fontana, the 2-mile oval, not in existence anymore. It has been bulldozed. But it is the home of the world's fastest lap by an IndyCar. Set, 24 years ago by Gilda Farron. He turned
We
a
were
lap
just
of,
kids.
jeez, 241.428 miles per hour while qualifying for that kart race there that year. And that remains the world record to this date.
Looks like Murphy ran faster than the leaders that lap, so they're clawing back time little by little. Does not seem the swap draft really is faster. I think just because those cars up ahead have settled into a single file situation, they're losing time little by little to Murphy behind them, and I think he'll continue to claw that back as it seems that his single car pace is actually faster than the leaders that are in a line there. Just shows that Murph definitely has
He likes these cars.
single lap pace, and he's quicker. So if he gets to the front, he could lead this pack and lead them very quickly.
And not only is the fastest IndyCar lap ever turned here, and the world record, closed course record, turned here, but the fastest 400-mile IndyCar race was held here. Also, this was set back in 2003. Sam Hornish Jr. averaged 207 miles per hour en route to his victory here. So a couple of speed records that shall never be beaten now, at least at this facility. Maybe we might see 241 at someplace else. But some of those speed records, these IndyCar speed records, have been around forever. I mean, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway record back in '96, the closed course record back in 2000, and I mean, normally every year back in the 80s and 90s, the cars got quicker and faster every year, and you were kind of expecting, new track records every year. It's been it's this drought of track records, at least at the super speedways, is kind of indicative of where the speed in these cars have gone over the years. I always kind of circle 2000 on the calendar there as where speed and technology met each other. Since then, the technology's gone up in these cars, but the speed has gone down.
It definitely seems like one of those things where the cars are going to get faster and faster, but it's going to hit a point where speed tops off, and you're not going to get those records anymore. But I hope that we do see some lap records. We're getting very close in the real-life Indy 500. The Indianapolis Motor Speedway track record was very, very close to being beaten this year. The 4-lap average was beaten this year by Scott McLaughlin.
Yeah, the pole average was beaten, and the pole speed, the single lap pole speed was beaten, but the single lap record and the 4-lap record still held by Ari Lida. People don't understand. It's people like, how can he have the record, but the pole record's not the record? Old IndyCar, old USAC qualifying procedures back in the day. Don't worry about it. It's tough to explain, but yeah, they're getting closer. They're within 3 miles per hour, but they really need to. And I don't think they're gonna. I'm not sure when they're gonna find that 3 miles per hour, especially with these cars getting heavier. And I don't really see the hybrid making them that much faster. Although they were faster at Iowa, they did set a new track record at Iowa.
Yes, they did. That was part of the repave, I believe.
Yeah, and I think the repave. Indy hasn't been repaved since '96, so I don't know. Maybe it's due, but everyone says that they take really good care of the facility. It does suffer through some pretty wicked Indiana winters.
That does not help a track record situation whatsoever.
No,
there, Gary.
Nope. But this Fontana track, through the course of its history, never once got repaved. And you can kind of tell when you watch these cars go down the backstretch, especially up against the wall going into 3, watch them hit those bumps. It's very bumpy down there. And Cohn is starting to pull away a little bit from Peterson by about 0.3.
It looks like that this pack back here from P6 backwards are still trying to figure out how to close in on the pack up ahead. We have Rafi Eckert now that's jumped up to the front with Chris Fowler, and they've been racing pretty hard with each other. They're doing low 33s right now, which is a little bit faster than the leaders, but you're right, Mark Cohn seems to be pulling out a tiny bit, little by little, on Eric Peterson. But I believe Peterson's still in the draft range here, where he is not losing the leader too much.
And Brubacher in the shadow. Well, now as I say that, he goes to the inside. It's going to pass Forsyth. I thought for a second there that Brubacher was just kind of ride it out behind Forsyth. If there's one driver on this track that I know that is saving fuel, it's Craig Forsyth.
These cars pit around lap 40 or so, so we're going to be looking around the lap 68, 69, 70 region for our next bit of pit stops. And hopefully we get some green flag pit stops here in order to really put a challenge to these guys, and we're really going to see the field split up a little bit, I believe, during these green flag stops, and maybe that'll give an opportunity for Eckert and Fowler and the second group here to pick up the pace and perhaps maybe steal a spot or two for the next stint.
Well, if you enjoyed P1's coverage of the Dark Horse 2,000-mile ride series, respect the stream, please do us a solid. Make sure you support us by subscribing. And while you're at it, don't forget to smash like and click the bell so don't miss out on future P1 iRacing broadcasts. And we see Murph now catching up to Craig Forsyth. He has now caught this group. He's going to go underneath him. Now, Craig's going to have the run on the high side, so maybe Murph just tucks right back in. But we got a lot of events here planned on P1 coming up very, very shortly. Of course, all of the IndyCar Oval Series coverage that is currently on ERN will move to P1 starting next season. And then, of course, we will have the start of the NASR, IndyCar Oval Series, on Wednesdays in September. We expect the restart of the Dark Horse DW12 Season 8 coming up here sometime later this season. The Formula Indy Series in December. So a lot of planned coverage here on P1 as we begin to grow the new channel. Thanks for joining us. But the best thing you can do, since we are a new channel, just subscribe to the channel, would you? That's the easiest thing you could do for us right now. 63 of 250 in the books, and now we have a new challenger in this group of 5. Murph has caught him.
It looks like Murph has the fastest car on track right now. He did that all by himself on raw pace. He is flying, and I'm sure he wants to get to the front, and he wants to give a challenge to Mark Cohn up there. But we're getting close to the pit stops, as we mentioned. We're within 10 laps or so of seeing these guys pit for their first green flag pit stop of the day. And it's going to be incumbent on these guys to figure out what they got to do to be the fastest in, the fastest on the lane, and the fastest out.
Yeah, I got the last lap speeds up on the tree right now. Murphy 2:17 flat that time by. Everyone else in front of him are 2:16s, except for Brubacher, who stayed out. So he's lighter, and actually, yeah, he did. He pitted on lap 26, so Brubacher's lighter, so he's a little bit faster at the moment. But he's going to have to come to pit road here real shortly. He has 39 laps.
Coming in next lap.
Next lap, 39 laps of his current stint, so he is gone as long as he can. He was kind of hoping for another caution. It just never came. And now while they're racing up there in this group of cars, the Eckert and Fowler have pulled their cars into this battle as well. So we're going to watch JB bring his car gingerly from the 14th degree of banking onto the apron, slow it down before he gets to those cones. And he does. And he's on pit road, and now he's going to make it into his pit stall. It's going to be one of the first ones he gets to because he started towards the rear.
Big move by Rafi Eckert in turn 1 and 2. He got by 3 cars in turn 1, and he's going for, is this Murph here in P2? Yes, it looks like he is going to be going for P2. Mark Cohn has gapped the field. He is about a second ahead right now. Rafi Eckert really pushing it. It comes very close, and his car is fast. Murph's car is fast. They're going to track down Mark Cohn in no time.
Yeah, 2:18 for Eckert that lap. Purple lap is Forsyth, though, set earlier in the race, a 32.7. But Eckert seems to be the best way for him to run down is he seems to be unwinding that wheel earlier and earlier and earlier and earlier to the point that he's unwinding it to the point to the last second he's coming right up against that wall.
I do want to mention as well that Matt Wagner has rejoined the race. He is 6 laps down right now. He is about maybe half a straightaway ahead of Mark Cohn. He rejoined quite a bit close to the leader. So Matt Wagner's car is actually pretty fast as well, but unfortunately for him, he had that disconnection issue. So his day is more than likely done unless there's some act of God to back into the series again. But he's out there wheeling the car and he's trying to collect points.
Yes,
you never know what happens later in the race.
And he's also a teammate to Cone and Murphy, so may be able to lend a hand if he can. Certainly to Cone if he could reach him, but I think Cone is going to hit pit road before he can. 30 laps in for all these drivers up through the top 11 at the moment into this stint. Haisong is 29 laps along with Jomo, Morales, and Wheeler. They all went 29. They all stopped on that right before going green, topped off. Might not, again, topping off, being that far back in the pack, not a bad idea, especially when a caution comes out and you're still on the racetrack. So they're hoping for a caution when all these guys come to pit road, but they all should be coming to pit road relatively on the same time, although Forsyth was in the draft for an awful long time. Maybe he has been able to save a couple of laps.
I imagine in the next 5 or so laps here, we're going to start seeing these guys peel off. I thought it was a little bit shorter of a fuel window than it really was, especially seeing how far Yari went on his stint there. It looks like probably before lap 80 we're going to see these cars come down pit road. But you can see that the field is really stretched out now. They're all very much single file. Craig Forsyth is kind of right up on the back of Chris Fowler here, and I believe that he is, you're right, he has saved quite a bit of fuel, and now he's probably burning a little bit of fuel in order to put the battle to Chris Fowler so he can try and pick up a little bit of space here, because he's fallen back quite a bit now from Mark Cohen. He's about 2.1 seconds behind the leader, and that's not really going to be helpful if you're trying to maintain some sort of close quarters with these guys for this race.
Fowler reaching up and saying hello to the turn 4 exit wall there. I noticed in the latest developer update from iRacing that they hired a netcode specialist of some type. So maybe we will see some work get put into the overall sim about less incidents of netcode. But these cars, specifically the DW12, notorious for netcode.
Is that the actual name of the position, is netcode specialist?
I have to go back and find out what it was, but it would be funny if it was netcode specialist. But Wheeler and Herrick side by side just behind him. But yeah, I believe the JD said that it was to help programming for netcode incidents and stuff like that. But I'll have to go back and look at it. I just listened to a YouTuber video blog about who updates people when these new developer blogs come out with the what they have in the new build coming up, and he mentioned that. I'm like, oh well, that's definitely needed. I don't know if it's going to actually translate to these cars, considering they're on legacy status, but we both have also seen some pretty bad incidents of netcode on the IR18 before, and mainly because it's just so darn fast.
That's a very interesting thing to put on your LinkedIn page, is that I'm a netcode specialist. But regardless, I'm paying attention to Chris Fowler here. He's really starting to fall back from the lead pack, and now he's even dropping towards the bottom part of the top 10 here. And I'm curious if he's had wall contact. He's come very close, including that time, to the turn 4 wall. But I'm not really sure if there was contact involved or if he's perhaps just worn the tires completely off that car from all the battling he did with AJ Hobson and Rafi Eckert earlier on in the stint. He had this nice little group here with Wheeler, Santos, and
Hobson coming in this one too. Herrick's there, yeah. Hobson sneaking into there as all their paces are kind of bringing them all together now.
I believe Herrick's coming in this lap.
Forsyth might be. Nope, I thought Forsyth was on pit road. Let's see if Herrick makes the turn. Herrick is on the turn there. Herrick bringing the 4D number 40. Jim typically numbers his cars 20, 40, 60 if he can. I think he models them kind of after the old Pat Patrick numbering system. Brings it in, gets it out at a good angle. Oh, misses just a little bit, has the back up. Now he's up on the jacks. It's going to cost him some time.
Mark Cohn's coming in too, our leader.
Eckert staying out. There is Forsyth. That's Herrick's teammate. Joseph Morales, Jomo, also coming in.
So this is 36 laps that these cars can make on a full tank. So now you got to start thinking about counting backwards, especially after we get around the lap 100 area. So it's time to start figuring out what your pit stops are going to be for the rest of the race. And I'm sure that there's a lot of math going on for any crew chiefs or anyone that's spotting or watching for these drivers. It's imperative to go as far as you possibly can. Gary Lovern's coming in very hot. I don't know if he got it slowed down in time, but there's a big group of cars coming in right now.
Yeah, joined by Hai Song, who's giving him lots of room to the inside. Pahutsky still on the racetrack.
I'm going to go back and watch that Gary Lovern one again, because it looked like he came in very hot.
Joseph Morales coming up to speed, getting on the acceleration really hard. Got his car a little squirrely, but he's back underway.
Yeah, I'm almost positive that Lovern sped there, unfortunately.
Yeah, he is a long wait on pit road. He's looking at, a very long wait. 19 seconds or more. So, yeah, he's got himself a 40-second hold. That was Rafi Eckert who missed his marks. He had to back up a little bit. That's going to cost him. Nick Wheeler pitting right behind him. They're both down and away.
This is one of the hardest pit boxes to get into because you're transferring from one surface to another, and once the car starts to slide on that concrete, it's very easy to miss your box. And that's what I was mentioning earlier from when we were about to do those first round of pit stops there, that these guys really have to kind of get their minds turned from racing as fast as they can to thinking about how they're going to stop in their pit boxes.
Peterson coming out, but Murphy getting a run and going around him. So Murph picks up a position. Peterson actually did pick up a position on pit road. He got around Eckert. I thought Eckert was just going to destroy the turn 4 exit wall there.
Edson Santos coming off pit road right now. He's a lap down, so not really a factor, but I think we'll stop rotation here.
Everyone has stopped. Cone back to being your leader. Craig Forsyth now second. JB now third. Now, Cone said that if he does win, he's going to raffle his watch off, the winner's watch off, to somebody else. So he's not just going to win the race and keep all his watches. He's good to his word. He's going to give up a watch. And he has quite the I mean, I got to wonder what 4 watches he has picked to hand out for the series. They're like, the way he collects them, I mean, they're almost like heirlooms. Which one of your heirlooms do you like the least that you want to hand out to people?
Yeah, exactly. So I'm thinking about Matt Wagner's situation right now, and this would be the perfect time for a yellow to come out just to get one of his laps back for free. He's 5 laps down now that everybody's done their pit stop rotation, but he is obviously off cycle due to the fact that he disconnected. So this is the case for him, where he's a little bit off of rotation, and a yellow flag coming out right during the middle of everybody else's pit stop and then his is the best way for him to claw back some time. He's not going to be a lucky dog recipient due to the fact that there's 2 cars up ahead of him that are also off the lead lap. So this is an opportunity for perhaps Matt to get a lap back if a caution were to come out right now.
Well, Matt goes by a number of different aliases. We call him the stock car ace, Matt Wagner. I might start calling him the Explorer Matt Wagner, because he is still in search of a championship despite being so close. Now he comes on the pit road right here. In the ISRA Truck Series, finished second. Then the ISRA Xfinity Series finished 5th. But 5th was like 8 points out of the championship. The championship was so tight there. He finished second here in the previous Dark Horse season. So close. Always the bridesmaid, not yet the bride. I think people should keep an eye on him, minus any DC issues that he has with his internet connection. But next season here in Dark Horse, to possibly be one of the early contenders for the championship in the next season coming up.
Well, Gary, I can relate. I have also never won a championship in any league I've been in the last 11 or so years I've been sim racing. I've finished second many times in many different leagues. So I also have never tasted the championship, whatever you want to call it, milk, if you want to keep it for
the champagne. Yeah.
I have won an Indianapolis 500 that you also were a part of, but I have never won any league championship before. So I can sort of relate to something that Matt goes through. Quick enough, but not quick enough to win a championship.
I have won one, and it happened so long ago. Under completely different racing circumstances in IndyCar Racing 2. I won the name of the league was the Coral League. And I won that, and that was back in 97, 98, somewhere in there. So, yeah, and that was days before online racing. That was offline racing. That was a whole different animal.
It's so hard to put a championship run together for anybody, really. Edson Santos collects the wall a little bit. But, yeah, it's a lot of things have to come together. There's a lot of luck that has to also be a part of a championship run, too. You can't just run away and win every race, especially on iRacing, where everybody is very, very talented, and you're just hoping you get the best finish you can. And sometimes you feel like you're just good enough to perhaps get a podium here and there, but to go for a championship run, you really need to be committed and have a certain level of talent as well.
Well, Mark Cohn, our leader, finished last season pretty strong. He had 4 wins down the stretch run. Now he is, we're not, still a long ways to go here in this race, not even to the halfway point. We're lap 88 of 250. Couple of pit stops in, couple of cautions. The field hasn't thinned too much. There's 13 cars on the lead lap. Gary Lovern 1 lap down. Santos 2 laps down. Wagner with the DC but recovery. He is 6 laps down. You got 2 groups of 3 at the front. Cohn, Forsyth, Brubacher, Murphy, Peterson, Eckert in the second group.
Second group definitely has more possibilities for some people to tag on to the back here. You see that Nick Wheeler and Chris Fowler are both relatively close to this pack here, so I think that they're going to probably tag on to them, but this pack actually is going a little bit faster per lap than the leaders. I believe, let's see, the leaders pack are doing about 33 threes, and this pack here also doing 33 threes, but a little bit faster, so little by little, these guys will start to close in on that front pack. But
Wheeler in the wall to the inside in the runoff area, which used to be all grassy, recovers, but loses 2 spots, 3 spots. Whoa!
It's quite a save there. He just bounced off the wall a tiny bit, but that sort of mixed up that second pack quite a bit.
I was just
Wheeler was right off the back of the second pack. Sorry.
Yeah, I was just getting ready to highlight Wheeler and say next weekend he should be part of the lineup of the next Sunday race that we'll be covering here on P1. It's going to be the second recruitment race for the NASR Indy Oval Series. Nick finished on the podium for their first recruitment race at Kansas. And, synchronized smashing of walls. Him and Herrick through the grass. That's just what happens when you just kind of you're following that car in front of you too precisely. And right up in front of Isong. Isong had to check up a little bit. But I think that's when you kind of get into that trance when you're following that car too precisely in front of you, and you just follow them right up into the wall.
Doing a quick weather check right now. It looks like yes, we still have that gusty westerly wind. It's fluctuating between 7 to 10 miles per hour. So, yeah, and you're following in the dirty air there too, and that turn 4 wall is so easy to just kind of miss your turn in, and then the mid corner of the car starts to wash up a tiny bit. So, not surprising that these guys are having some difficulty down there, especially if you're following a car right up ahead. It's not just a matter of following the car into the wall; it's that the car actually, well, the first car obviously hits the wall, but the second car simply just can't turn to avoid it.
Forsyth grabs a little bit of the apron, gets squirrely.
I was just gonna say that it seems that these guys in the first pack are starting to kind of either get bored or they're making a bit more mistakes, and they're allowing the second pack to sort of close up a little bit. So it's about a little less than a second gap between the two packs right now, and that's going to close up rather quickly, especially play.
Well, you tell me, how hard is it to when you're kind of out there in a 500-mile race? You're in the dog day laps, right? You're in the middle where you're just ticking them off, getting to the next pit stop, trying to just hit a number and everything. How hard is it to kind of lose your focus out there? How easy is it to kind of lose your focus momentarily and just clip the apron a little bit? Or maybe you're just turning your car and for whatever reason you don't turn it as much and you smack the wall just like Brubacher did. How easy is it to do that out there?
Well, it seems that it's happening very easily with these guys. It's funny. With the other cars around you, it actually gets more annoying because you're really trying to find a couple of different things and like just maybe trying to turn it a little later and experimenting stuff to see, hey, maybe I could actually be a little faster than the cars ahead. And if you're by yourself, it may seem more boring, but you're able to kind of hone in that stuff a lot better, especially without having to deal with dirty air up ahead. So I guess I could see both sides of it. From how to deal with it when you're racing around other cars versus how you're supposed to deal with it when you're racing alone, which is kind of more boring, especially if someone like Matt Wagner right now has no one to race with and he's several laps down, so the motivation factor for him is definitely a little bit lower. So you'd almost imagine he'd be the one making more mistakes out there, for example.
Does having a spotter help?
Yes and no. It depends who you have. Some people could be a little more chatty than others and distract you, and other people they're chatty, but they give you the pertinent information in order to maximize your lap time. They'll shout out your lap times every lap, so you don't have to be distracted by looking around on your screen to figure out how fast you're going. So I personally prefer to not have a spotter, but I know some people that can't race that one. So it's all driver preference.
Do you, when you do have a spotter, and you mentioned chatty, are you preferring a less chatty spotter? Just give me the data that I need when I need it and when I ask for it? Or do you like one out there that will actually give you encouragement, meaning, hey, that's a good lap, do it again. That's a good lap, you're gaining on the leaders, you're clear, now go get the next guy, good job. What type of a spotter do you kind of like? What type of, I guess, personality of a spotter do you like?
I guess it depends on what part of the race you're on, because if you're kind of in the closing stages where you're trying to run away from someone, then that good job with that lap, do that again is sort of good. But if you're on like lap 110 and they're saying like, oh, that's a good lap, it's more like, all right, can I just like focus on what I'm doing? So,
right. Okay.
It definitely depends on what stage of the race you're on, what position you're in, and how much information you feel is necessary to hear, because sometimes a spotter is just good to keep you company too. Like a Matt Wagner right now if I were him, I would want someone just to be there to hang out with me and just get me through this race.
We're going to talk about it in in some of the other series that we've covered, the Formula Indy series being one of them. That there's the series champion over there. Always had a spotter, and we always talked about it was always the unfair but a completely legal advantage that he would have by having a spotter over everyone else. Everyone else could have a spotter that would help him just as well, equally, if they were just as good as that spotter. And I always thought that having a spotter in some races, certainly a 500-mile race, is a good one to help kind of keep you focused. I know a number of people that just for whatever reason can't finish a 500-mile race because at some point they just lose focus and they just go right up and smack that wall, and then their day's done all of a sudden, and they'll talk about the number of miles and the number of laps they practice without incident, but as soon as they get into a race situation they just kind of flake off, and Wagner to the outside. Man, Peterson kind of squeezed him up there, but that was a very ambitious move by Fowler. Excuse me. I said Wagner. And Fowler's front wing is damaged. And Yari is on pit road. So these incidences, well, Yari's slightly different. He's on 36 lap, but Fowler 25 laps into the stint. That front wing of his is done. He is having a hard time getting that car to rotate. He's got to come to pit road. He should see that damage. Yeah, he should see it. Look at the driver's view. Oof.
I find that to be kind of a very odd move that Fowler did there in this part of the race. You're just trying to kind of survive in this part of the race, especially if you're near the lead pack, and he really kind of tried to squeeze into something that really wasn't beneficial to anybody there. So unfortunately he now has to drive with the front wing bent, and yeah, he missed coming in last time, so I imagine that this lap, or the next, he'll be in to repair that wing, because he's going to be losing so much time.
Now, he could probably repair that wing without a fast repair. Here he comes.
Yeah, he's slowing down.
Getting to it.
Oh! I think he was good. That was very risky.
Very close.
Again, it's very, very high-risk situation that I'm not really sure that these guys need to be doing in this part of the race right now. So,
see, that's another thing. I think a spotter would have been handy, just saying, "What are you doing? Do you need to do that? Don't do that. Don't go on the high side." But we'll see what happens when he hits his marks here. Does he go to the fast? Yeah, he goes to the fast repair. Goes ahead, gets service. So this will be his scheduled stop. Down and away.
Top 5 very close right now. I think Mark Cohn was sort of pulling away on the last stint, but this stint he looks to be kind of running the same pace as some of these guys that are around him, and I'm not really sure if that's because he's slowed down the pace a little bit, or maybe some of these guys have picked up a trick or two of different lines he was taking, and they're going to make sure that they don't lose the draft this time around. But yeah, this top 5 is very close right now. I think any of these guys would be privy to take the lead if they have a good pit stop on their next visit.
Yeah, we see the last lap speeds. Cohn 2:17.1, Forsyth 2:17.5, just being the draft. Eckert 2:18.5 in the draft. That's going to help him. Murph 2:16.9. Draft is just keeping him in touch. Peterson 2:18.7.
And we saw on the last pit stop rotation, Yari pitted about 15 laps or so before everyone else, so it's crunch time now, and you can see that the behavior of these 5 leaders here are starting to get a little bit more like, let's race, let's go, it's time to make moves where you can, and I think any of these 5 could have a better pit stop than the other and take the lead because they're so close to each other, but you always want to be the first car in and the first car out if you have a good pit stop.
And that fourth or fifth car back in that pack, 6th car actually, that is Edson Santos. He is currently 2 laps down, but he definitely has pace, and he's going to stick with that lead group. But he had an incident earlier which caused them to tow and execute the fast repair.
Ooh, very close racing between Casey Bahutsky and AJ Hobson. They got very, very close to each other.
Watching
at the
it
exit
now.
of turn 2.
Yeah, that they gave each other a wide berth on the exit of the corner.
Casey's going to wash up the track again, but I think AJ is just going to let him go in this instance. Casey's going to stay low down the front straightaway. AJ's going to get some draft. Wheeler's kind of watching it with some popcorn from behind, but anywhere you go in this field, there's all sorts of battling going on, but you could definitely see that the top 5 has pulled quite the gap on the rest of the field, because Bahutsky and Hobson are about, 4 seconds back?
Bahutsky and Hobson in proper DW12 liveries from the era. Bahutsky in that Schmidt-Peterson Aero livery that was driven by Hinch. And then also...
Very close. Wow, look at the leaders. They're side by side.
Going up front, we're going to ride with Rafi Eckert.
It looks like that there was almost contact between Cohn and Eckert on 3 separate occasions down the front straightaway there, but they managed to get out. Eckert very close to the wall, but Cohn is going to take it.
Cohn's going to, he's like, you know what, I'm going to throw a block on you here. Or not necessarily throw a block, throw a defense.
It's almost pit stop time. It's time to make moves and get to the front. Forsyth kind of relinquished that to Eckert, but I think Eckert wants to lead this race right now. But again, I think Murphy has the fastest car in his top pack here, so he's not quite showing it yet, but with one good pit stop, he could probably pull away from this field. Side by side again, Eckert and Cone very close to turn one. But look at Edson Santos here. He is, what, 1 lap down, right? Or he's 2 laps down. So if he can get to the front, he can get one of his laps back.
Yeah. Oh, that high side.
Banging each other.
Yeah, high side Cone was not giving Eckert any inches whatsoever there. Of course, Cone in a throwback livery. That's 19. I think that's 1977 Tom Sneva.
On most tracks, especially these 1.5 mile ovals, the high line really works to get around, but on such a big oval like this, you're adding so much distance by going on the high side that the line that Eckert's taking really does not prove fruitful as we see Cones coming in. And I believe Forsyth didn't have the wall there.
Down. Okay, gets to the cone, slows down. Now, a long run down pit road to his stall. He needs to hit the marks perfectly. He's got another 2-3 stops ahead of him at least. Bahutsky on pit road. Looks like he's there for a long hold. Not sure what happened to him. Jomo comes in. He slides into his stall, but he hits the marks. Cone down and away.
I'm watching the front of this pack here, and they've spread back out to single file, so they're back to doing low 33s again. Craig Forsyth 32.9, Rafi Eckert 32.8. They are going very fast right now, so Cone really needs to latch onto the back of somebody here. I believe Jim Herrick and Jeff Heisong are in right now.
Yeah, and this is a battle for position, so possibly they're
Jimmy's more leaders.
Jimmy sees Heisong go in, and he's going to go ahead. Oh, Heisong does not hit his marks, and he goes searching for him twice, now 3 times, 4 times. Herrick's going to come out in front of him 5 times, 6 times. Oh, that's a
disaster.
That's a free spot for Herrick, but disaster for Heisong. Problem with Herrick now, he has no one to play with once he gets back out there, unless someone gets by him on the racetrack here. We'll see. I think Morales is coming up on him. There goes Pahutsky. He's back out on the racetrack.
Murph's coming in. Eckert stays out another lap, so he has extended this, and he's running the best laps of anybody in the front right now. So if Eckert has a clean pit stop, he has the lead, and he has it by quite a margin. Well, let's see if he manages to do a good pit stop once he comes in.
And his teammates right behind him. Could be a wingman if he needs to. There we just see down the backstretch, Forsyth Peterson coming up to speed. JB getting a run around Forsyth there.
Edmonds out of control entering the pit lane. Oh, he somehow manages to avoid Rafi coming in, but that could have been disaster if Edson got a little bit squirrely and ran back to his teammate.
Hang on, boys. We're just watching the replay of it. Oh, there it is. It looked a lot more out of control in live action, but under replay, it doesn't look that dangerous. But I'm sure it was I think Rafi, did he miss his stall or miss his marks? That's twice this race he's done that. So that any advantage he might have had on the racetrack, he might have just given up, and now his teammate's in front of him. So at least his teammate's going to be there to pull him, but he spent more time on pit road than he really wanted to.
And Mark Cohn's going to take this lead.
Easily.
Man, we're talking inches and inches here. It looks like, honestly, it seems that Edson Santos, the car that's 2 laps down, had the best pit stop out of all of them. Perhaps not as good as Cohn, but he jumped 3 of the cars that he was sitting behind during the last green flag rotation there.
Go ahead. I'm going to ask a question.
We have a monster pack that has formed now at the front of this field.
Yeah.
We have about 9 cars that are sitting on the front straightaway that have all seemed to find each other. So we're at the stage of the race now. We're reaching halfway. People have kind of figured out everyone's driving style, and now it's a matter of who's going to lead it. And this looks like a restart almost, Gary. It looks like that everybody's very close together, and it's not something that I would have expected after this last pit stop.
Forsyth to the lead now. He's going to bring Santos with him. So let me ask you, put yourself in Santos' position. You're wanting that lap back, but now you're racing with the leaders. How hard do you race up there? Because you want to get your lap back, but you don't also want to be the guy that causes everybody to wreck up there.
It looked a little bit more promising to get his lap back when he left the pit road, but now he's kind of sat right in the middle of that grouping there. I would say give it a shot. Give it a try to see if you could find some clean air to get yourself.
Yuri in the wall, and Yuri's going to go down pit road sideways. Maybe he actually got down to the pit road speed limit. We'll see. But that's going to probably be
a free pit stop, I guess.
Yeah, and a day ending. He's 17 laps into his stint. So he's going to go off schedule again. And he's going to execute the fast repair because he's got some damage on the ad blocker on the side of his car there. And down and away, not going to execute the fast repair.
I mean, there's ways to go off strategy, but that's definitely a unique one.
Double off strategy move here by JB.
And he will lose a lap here. He's already lost the lap. So unfortunate for him, but now he's pretty much on the opposite pit strategy. So it's possible for him to get something back if he plays his card trick.
Speaking of cards, good segue. So if just want to point out that I got tonight's sponsor that I need to read about here real quick. Tonight's race coverage has been brought to you by GETTRX, the fastest name in credit card processing. GETTRX should be the only stop for a business owner, regardless of size, for their credit card processing needs. Get GETTRX or visit GETTRX.com/win. So that's GETTRX.com/win to learn more how you can increase the money in your pocket by decreasing your credit card fees. The link is in the description. Check it out. GETTRX, sponsor of the GETTRX 500 here, presented by The Joy of Driving. And of course, The Joy of Driving is Mark Cohn's channel. If you like entertaining sim racing content, definitely check out his channel. Look no further than The Joy of Driving. Follow Mark Cohn's racing escapades as he battles for wins and avoids wrecks with cat-like reflexes. That's his words, not mine. All the while providing commentary to make sure you laugh, cry, or do both. Follow along by subscribing to The Joy of Driving on YouTube or like his Facebook page at The Joy of Driving. And The Joy of Driving currently is P3 right behind Eric Peterson, still looking for his first win here in his own series. And that would be a very popular win if Eric can get the dub. And he had a very strong race at Michigan. He almost got the podium. And he is looking good here at the halfway mark at Fontana.
To answer your question earlier about Edson Santos, he's not letting Rafi by. So I think Edson really is going for it because Rafi's sitting behind him. And you would think that a car that's a lap down and that's not really in contention would help his teammate out and not give him so much dirty air. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to get there because it seems that Eric and Craig are really, really picking the pace up here, doing awesome high 32 laps. So I don't know if there's really anything in the cards for Edson to make his way past these guys, but he's not doing his teammate any favors, and in fact, he's sort of backing them up a little bit.
Yeah, that's the danger of when you get up there. Is are you going to be able to help other people get around you, and then you maintain pace, or you're going to be hindrance? So Eric Peterson, just give him a shout out, leading his first laps here of the day. 82 starts in the series. 82 starts, no wins, 14 top fives, 39 top tens. He's turned some 15,000 miles, some 9,000 laps. He's led 265 laps, not counting what he's turning right here in his history here in the series. This man is long overdue for a win. And I hope I'm not jinxing him any here, but this man is super long overdue for a win. And I think it would be very popular if he gets one out of here today at Fontana.
That's quite a resume there. All those starts, and we were talking about what it takes to win a championship, but in order to win a championship, you got to win some races too. So that's a lot of top fives, and sometimes consistency wins championships too, as we've seen from several drivers. One touches the apron there. It takes consistency.
Oh, sorry, Hobson just cut across the nose of Fowler on the old Brazilian clear there, and Fowler gives him the bad air on the exit of quarter 3 and 4 here. But man, there were 0 inches left remaining between a new nose for Fowler. Fowler would have to go to the next pit stall and say, "Hey man, can we borrow your nose? We're out."
I'm watching this leaner energy battle here. It looks like Edson's finally given it up. He tried to battle Cone for a position, but didn't get it. Gave Rafi a bunch of drafts, and Rafi got by both his teammate and Mark Cone, so now put Rafi up to P4. Yeah, I still think I'm going to call my shot here halfway through the race. I think Mark Murphy wins this race. He is the fastest car out there. He's not doing any swap drafting with the leaders, but he's sticking with them. He's managed to find something here. He just needs 1 or 2 good pit stops, and he'll be leading this race, and he'll be driving away. So mark my prediction down. Mark Murphy wins this race.
All right, lap 131. We'll go ahead and circle that on screen. 131, that's when the Catalyst Andrew Wood has made his call. He's called his shot. I'm going to go for this guy. I'm going to circle it right there. I'm going to go with Craig Forsyth. Either way, I think we're looking at an entertaining finish here with either one of those guys. Of course, we shouldn't forget Cone. Cone finished the end of last season very, very strong.
Oh, we're getting close here.
Yeah, Cone finished 1-4 out of the last 6. There it is.
Rafi in the wall, but I believe he might be okay. I wonder if his tires are starting to burn out now.
And Cone returns the Brazilian. There's contact. There it is. There it is. There it is.
There's a little bit of apron involved in that one for sure.
Oh. JB and Wheeler get through. Pahutsky gets through. Wow. All right, let's go back and check that out again from a couple different perspectives. And I'm not sure exactly what happened. So here we see them. He does Brazilian clear him. I mean, he doesn't. Well, there's a lot more room there, but when you're at 200 miles per hour, it doesn't look that much. Rafi apron into the side of Cone. Oh.
I was just getting ready to explain before all that I really do think that Rafi was working very hard to get by Edson through a lot of that stint there, and I think that he just wore his tires out, really. So he went down on the low side there. Of course, the trajectory of that turn, if you turn down that early, you're always going to wash up. But unfortunately, the apron really just kind of sealed the deal there. And then that's it. That's incident between the two drivers right there. You can see he's turning down and he just sort of gets underneath. He's going to wash up into him regardless if the apron's there or not. So it was going to be an incident regardless. But the apron just kind of made it happen.
Back to live television, and Peterson is bringing the group down pit road. He kind of back and forth with the lead with Forsyth at the front. Murphy, you're right. I think you got a good safe call with Murphy there in terms of being fast. Fowler now up to 4th. And Hobson is in 5th. Now this is going to change as we all cycle through on the pit stops here. Eckert, I think, is done, but I think Cone is being repaired on pit road, but I don't know if he has the fast repair checked, so I'm not sure how that's going to happen. Haisong on pit road, a long stop.
I believe Haisong missed, so he blew through his box. There was a couple people that actually blew through their boxes there. And it's under yellow, you don't really get much of a penalty except maybe lose a spot. But yeah, it's proving so difficult for these guys to get their car stopped, switching from the asphalt to the concrete.
Can you change any of that with the brake bias? That's one of the things you can change in this car.
It's definitely something you could change, but the surface is not helpful.
Okay.
To that, just because you're switching from one grippier surface to a less grippy surface, so you have to kind of anticipate that and kind of time your slide into the box is probably the best way to do it. But that takes a lot of risk.
When you practice for these races, how often did you actually practice green flag pit stops?
Oh, I did a bunch. It's so helpful, especially on the 1.5 mile ovals.
Mm-hmm.
Coming down off the track onto the apron as late as possibly can. There are some guys that can do it seamlessly and just get their car stopped by the 1 mile per hour in there. So it's very important to practice your pit stops, because I mean it's one of those things you can practice it many times you want, and then in the race you mess up the first one and then that's it. But if you don't do any at all, then you really don't know what to expect. And if the car is set up a certain way where perhaps you have a little bit more cross weight in the car that slides it a little more, it's good to have a general idea of what your car is going to do once you start to hit the brakes. And from there you could tame the brake bias and everything like you were mentioning in the last discussion there.
Matty Wagner from in chat says, hi, Andrew. Apparently he has time back there in 16th.
He might have written that maybe when he was fixing his
maybe. And then we have Mike Rigney there from the ISRA says, what up, boys? And he says, poor Fowler, boy lives up to his Lionheart paint scheme of being cursed. But he's in fourth right now, so he's doing pretty good. Nesquick Victor WG, never seen this pit entry strategy. I'm assuming that might be when he saw Brubacher shoot down pit road.
I think I've seen it before, but I've never seen it be fruitful for anyone.
Pulled off, no kidding. He's a last car to lead lap. He is 10th, and he managed to get back on the same strategy as everyone else. So his off strat is now on strat as we're getting ready to go green here at lap 136, coming to 137. And what's he doing coming to pit road? Brubacher coming to pit road. Not sure why. Maybe caught speeding. Needs to do a drive-through. But we are going to go race. Check up in the back.
And it looks like everyone got through it cleanly. I don't know if okay. Edson's pulling up.
Santos.
He might have gotten a penalty.
And he's like, "That's it, man. I'm done." Wow.
I think there was a huge checkup in the back, and I believe he just went ahead and passed a bunch of cars. So
A.J. Hobson to the bottom. And he's up to third, side by side with Forsyth. Mark Murphy now second. Mark Cohn 2 laps down, but still with pace, leading this second group now. He's got one of his wingmen with him, Wagner.
Look at Hobson. He's coming forward, man. He loves these restarts. This is the AJ Hobson that we all know and we all know well. He wants to get to the front. He's just going to hug that bottom team there.
AJ with a top 10 at Motegi in the ERL on the oval last Thursday. And JB now coming back on the racetrack. So not sure what happened to him. He was 10th on the lead lap. Now he's 11th, 1 lap down, so he must have had some penalty. So we now have 9 cars on the lead lap. 9th car, last car there is Haisong. And he's in a battle right there with Joseph Morales right in front of him. That is a battle for 8th. Wheeler is 7th. Jimmy Herrick. And very much Jim Herrick style. Very quietly eases his way up into the top 10. Now he's mid-pack. We're just past the halfway point. He is now 6th. Chris Fowler is 5th. Forsyth 4th. Murphy 3rd. Hobson looking side by side with Peterson. The lead, but he's going to duck back down and duck into the draft there for 2nd. And Peterson maintaining the lead. Peterson's led, there he is, 18 of 141 laps. Hobson hasn't led anything yet, but he's going to try to get the lead here off of 2.
Yeah, Peterson's definitely setting a pretty decent pace up here for not really running much up front today, but he's kind of dragging the field along with him. No one's really challenging him too much except for AJ Hobson. He's kind of knowing what it's like to lead a race here, and he's looking pretty strong. So if he keeps it up, this might be a relatively good day for him. Maybe he steals that first win.
Started on the pole, cycled to the mid portion of the top 10, came back to the front, been there all day. Very high exit off of 2.
Starting to fall back into the single file racing again, which is showing me that these guys really just kind of like where they are right now. Maybe they'll make some moves later on when some of these positions open up. It's getting very, very tricky. The thing with the single file is that it's very tricky to avoid the turn 2 and the turn 4 wall, especially if you're following the same line, and then you really kind of trap yourself behind whatever the car ahead of you is doing. So let's watch and see if we get any more of these little bumps off turn 2 or turn 4. Oh, here comes Mark Cohn on the inside of Wagner. I think they're going to make him a Cohn. Really made a dive there. Again, both these cars are multiple laps down, so they're not really going to be going anywhere very quickly. But here comes JB, and he's going to try the same thing.
Now, these are all very fast cars back here. We know Wagner has pace. We know Cohn has pace. We know JB has pace. Unfortunately, they are all trapped 2 laps down. Wagner's 6 laps down. There's still plenty of time left in this 500-miler, 145 of 250 laps into this thing, and we could still see there's still time for those that are a lap down or more to get at least a couple of those back if the cards fall right. Go and just send it in there. I was going to make a little contact with Wheeler.
Challenge for second place as AJ is having to defend from the outside or the inside to Mark Murphy. And again, Murphy's just showing he's patient, but I think he's got the pace to really run up front here. It's very interesting that all these cars are following a single file line all the way down to the bottom of the track, and no one really is making any sort of moves kind of like midway or anything. It seems like the dirty air is kind of confined to maybe the faster part of the middle line, because everyone can kind of follow each other nicely on the bottom.
Well, this track is plenty wide enough. I don't know where the dirty air, is it the wind possibly that's hitting the racetrack, giving these guys a lot of difficulty as well? Not just the dirty air. We've heard that the wind gusts have been somewhat up there, 6 miles per hour last time we checked.
Yep, we're up to about 10 to right now from the west.
Okay, well that's a lot. Those are more significant gusts.
Yeah, don't ask me about the intricacies of wind effect on the back of the car, the front of the car. I always hear my teammates talking about the wind is gusty, but it can't be gusty everywhere, or it can't be gusty on all parts of the car at one time. So I have a hard time figuring out when it's beneficial to be turning into a tailwind or turning into a headwind necessarily. But it seems that turn 4 is definitely the issue, but I think that's more of a track thing than the wind thing. The wind just kind of enhances it a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know how true those winds are to real life. If you look in the background of this racetrack, just to the north of it, it actually sits at the base of a mountain range, where we know that the air is going to swirl a little bit differently in here. In real life, I would imagine. So there's Hobson to the inside of Murph. Hobbs going to take it back right underneath her, Murph again. Get that run back energized to make another stab at it going into 1.
we have Peterson that is off track, I guess. Or he's just rejoining.
Peterson, no, had a OT. What happened? Oh, this was on him. He was leading. We were just watching Hobson and Murph, and he got up into the gray, smacked the wall. Check this out. He gets down there, watch the car, kind of, he hits some bumps. It actually gets a little airtime here. I want to snap a screenshot of that. And he gets back up there, loses a couple spots, but he's back to 6th. But right now, he probably has some angry tires, so needs to cool those down, but definitely needs to stay in touch with those leaders and not lose that draft. At the very least, he'll just be hanging out back in the second half of the top 10 while all those cars remain on the lead lap.
Yeah, I hope you didn't pick up any right rear damage there, because that was quite a hit right on the wheel pod there. Yeah, I was actually, you're watching that, I was watching Casey Pahutsky and Gary Lovern battle in the back, and I saw just the yellow car up ahead that was rejoining, so I didn't quite catch that one myself. But yeah, Eric has lost a spot now to Yari, and his lap times aren't too bad, so maybe he's okay. But yeah, it won't be too difficult for him to recatch this field, but he's not going to be able to get back to the front again. He's going to have a lot of dirty air once he catches up to the field. And we see Matt Wagner has jumped up to the front now, so it's time for him to show his face up front. He's not in the lead necessarily, but he's going to be 5 laps down.
5 laps down, yep. As the tail end of the 5th lap right now. And he really is. He's helping a teammate right now. He's helping Murph. They're in the same VC together, and once Cone gets up there, that might be a 3-car teammate train, because Cone is also in their VC, so they're all working together.
Well, only one of the 3 of those are on the lead lap now.
Right. That tells you about the day that team has had. Once again, if you're just joining us, go right ahead. Go ahead. We'll get you.
No, my final thought there was I imagine that if they try and get Mark up there, they're just going to want to ice AJ out of that top spot there. So I think you might be onto something.
Forsyth rim riding there for a bit. Here comes Cone underneath Craig. I think Craig had to check up just a tick. That's going to give up momentum to Cone, and I think you're right. That's absolutely right. I think if Cone gets up there, the 2 guys off the lead lap are probably going to make things as difficult as possible for AJ to allow Murph to kind of scoot away. We shall see. Also in the picture, Fowler in 4th. If you're just joining us, you're watching P1's coverage of round 2 of 4, the Dark Horse 2,000-mile ride series, coming to you from Fontana for the GETTRX 500, presented by the Joy of Driving. Currently, Mark Murphy leads, where we have just less than 100 laps to go now. So make sure to smash the like button, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on the next race, which incidentally should be next Sunday here on the channel for the NASR IndyCar Oval, or the Indy Oval Series. He doesn't call it IndyCar, he calls it Indy Oval Series. And we'll be at Kentucky for a recruitment race. So check us out tomorrow or next Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Right here, me, Ryan Eric King, will be calling the action on that. Meanwhile, 157 of 250 here in the books for the GETTRX 500. Been an interesting race. A lot of stuff's been going on.
Watching, I'm trying to keep track of how Eric Peterson's progress is to get back to this pack again, and it's kind of stalled out. I think Yari is kind of going every direction trying to swap drafts with him, but I don't think they've necessarily found the right recipe yet. But they're maintaining. It's not like Eric has lost time, so I guess if he had picked up any damage at all, it's not hurting his speed too much. But Eric needs to get a move on. Kind of eyeballing lap 173 or so for the next round of pit stops. So we're within 15 laps. There's
contact. Wheeler and Bahutsky to the inside wall. Both make contact. Now we're going to get a caution that this is a very generous. If Bahutsky gets out to the racing line, it will be a caution. He's out there, and this will be a caution.
That just kind of randomly happened in the background of what I was watching. I didn't expect
no caution.
Didn't expect those cars to just sort of appear there, but sure enough, there was contact, and we stayed caution-free.
I figured when he got out to the racing line that we would see a caution, and no caution, both tow. But Wheeler and Bahutsky going to have to execute the fast repair. That was actually a battle for position, so...
And let's let you know that the yellow didn't happen there because it was kind of away from the pack. He may have entered the racing surface a little bit, but he managed to get off there before the field was coming. So iRacing won't throw a caution, especially if he's not just parked there. So it definitely seemed like the incident with what was that, Stouffer? I guess that was a little different because there was the rest of the field that was coming. So iRacing decided to throw out a caution in that circumstance, but it was at the back of the field, and once the car sort of crashed, they were inside the track, and I guess the system didn't really want to throw the caution there.
Fair enough. Murph, your leader.
That's my mansplaining explanation, Gary.
Hobson second, Forsythe third, Fowler fourth. Fowler has been very patient where he's been sitting. His MO is not patience. And right behind him, this is Jim Herrick's MO. Just bide your time, keep the car safe, keep moving up in the order. Oh, getting close there because I think Craig had to check up just a tick. Fowler almost in the back of him. Herrick almost followed suit.
I'm just going back one more time to rewatch that, Gary. He was, I'm sorry, I explained that, but Pahutsky was sitting on track for quite a bit of time there, but I guess maybe the system saw that he was moving, so I'm not really sure.
I thought we would see.
I can see that as a caution.
Yeah, I thought a caution would come out, and maybe he was kind of hoping for a caution. So I don't know, but he did have to execute the tow. Wagner still blinking, so whatever ISP issues are impacting him. So one of the other things in the developer blog they were talking about is the denial of service attacks that iRacing has been receiving over the last couple of weeks. So apparently their operation team has put some more procedures and fixes in place to prevent the future attacks from impacting the service as much as it had in the last kind of early portion of the month. In fact, that so much it impacted service so much the IndyCar Pro Series, which is going to kick off their very first race at I forget where it was. I think it was Long Beach or Barber. Had to get canceled. So yeah, that's how crippling that was. But we actually back 2 weeks ago, there's Wagner blinking again at the Homestead race that we were broadcasting for the ERL. Both Brazilian drivers at the same time dropped out because of a DC. And it was like everybody from the whole country of Brazil dropped their iRacing connection all at once.
And that's why you need a netcode specialist.
I guess so.
Let's put that job application right up on there and let's get things going. All right, we're looking to be within 6 or 7 laps of pit stops, I believe here. I'm eyeballing 173, but sorry, Wagner has been kind of dragging these guys along, so maybe push more to 174, 175. But yeah, we'll be seeing pit stops here within 10 laps or so.
Gotcha. Everyone just needs to remain patient until then.
And I believe everybody should be back on the same pit strategy now, right? Unless
Yes, everybody.
Wagner pit out, or is everyone going to be pitting?
No, all the leaders are 33 laps into their stint. All the leaders, all the way back to Lovern and P9. And Hobson just really watched him go to the lead without really saying much of anything, but he did it. He goes right to the bottom.
I believe we're going to see Matt Wagner come in this lap, which is just as well, as he's been the one burning the most fuel out there. So Wagner's going to peel off. Yeah. And barely gets it stopped in time, but he does. Let's watch his asphalt to concrete transition.
I was wondering where you're going when you said asphalt, and I'm like, what? Okay, all right.
You gotta ignore my New York accent too, my asphalt.
Well, it looks like he's gonna come right down into his stall and pretty much hits the marks. Nope. Oh, make me look bad there, Matt.
Well, at least he knows he's in good company, that everybody else has
missed.
Battle's really heating up now between AJ Hobson and, well, Mark Murphy, but Cohn is stuck in the middle of that. But yeah, that is cool. I was expecting more like 172, but Wagner did come in kind of early there, so I guess you could expect these guys to start peeling off any lap now.
So the position that actually is the netcode specialist, it's the multiplayer networking position. Oof. Now we had another player just disappear. Was that Murphy? Now he's back. We don't need any more drops. This has been hired by iRacing, so they're already on staff. So they're already working on fixing netcode. But apparently this guy, guy or gal, whoever they hired, was a principal level multiplayer netcode engineer at one of their competitors. So nice snag.
Oh, well, that's nice.
Nice snag, yeah.
It's like putting lipstick on a pig at this point. Looks like we have AJ Hobson peeling off.
And the development blog says expect an accelerated pace for improvements to these systems as well as new features and capabilities. I'm sure they're tired of hearing about netcode and seeing all the examples of bad netcode. And Hobson slides in, hits his marks on the spot. Nice job by Hobson. Down and away. Still a couple more stops to go. I forget, when we raced here in Lionheart, was that a 300-miler that we had in Lionheart? It was one of the more longer than normal races. I think it was a 300.
There was a Triple Crown, but I can't remember if this was part of the Triple Crown or not.
Yeah, the second time I raced here, I got taken out in a multi-car wreck. I got ran into when the car in front of me checked up, and I had to check up. Of course, I'm watching 3 cars ahead of me, and the person behind me is only watching my bumper and smacks me.
Actually,
go ahead.
Is this the finale? I think this is the finale.
The finale, yeah, that's the finale, yeah.
And I think it was part of the Triple Crown. It was Indy Pocono and then this, I believe. So it was a 500-miler.
I got a chance to participate in the first Speedway Series race here, which was the year before. It was one of a few starts I was allowed to do at this end of the season as being on the Lionheart practice squad. Here comes Murph. Oh, wow.
Oh.
Wow, and well, Murph disappears. You don't even know where to look. Murph, did he speed? Hopefully not.
Yari was very much out of control as well entering, but I think he is good. It was very Edson Santos-like from that last entry with Rafi.
And Jim Herrick sneaking on the pit road very calmly and smoothly. So now we're going to see, did we get any penalties first of all? And then next of all, are we going to see these 4D cars hook up? So Herrick on the spot. He's going to hit the marks, has the car pointed out, so he's ready to go. Forsyth down, hits his marks.
Gary Lovern also in. He hits his marks nicely. Herrick's out. Yari's out. Craig's
and
out.
Murph is long wait. Long wait. Long wait. Long wait. Speeding penalty on pit road.
Let's take a look at his speed entering in. That might have been part of the blinking that happened too. And I don't know if that iRacing might have read his speed wrong or something like that. I'm actually going back right now to see what his speed was hitting the cone whenever he reappeared again.
We're watching Fowler on pit road now. The leader comes in. He hits his marks down and away.
Yeah. He was 72 miles an hour on the line.
Ouch.
And
Ouch.
Sometimes you
could.
no.
Fowler, long waits. Long waits. Another speeding on pit road.
Sometimes you could trick the system into, like, you're slowing down, obviously, so it may be okay, but I think 72 down to whatever the speed is just too much. So yeah, it's unfortunate. We lost two more contenders here.
And Hobson has a huge lead. I mean, it's a second and a half, but it might as well be 5 miles at this point.
Watching Fowler, he's geared up and he's out, so that's another one a lap down. Now we're only down to 6 cars on this lead lap.
So that I was getting ready to say that my very first race here, I think I started in the mid pack, and I raced up into the top 10, and then I wore out my tires, and I just went back to the mid pack. I think maybe we had 2 cautions. I do remember whatever one of them was, it happened behind me because I remember seeing it in my rearview mirror. But as I kept hitting pit road every time and coming to a pit stop and I would come back out, I'd see myself going higher and higher and higher and higher into the standings. And what it was is, I think what we were seeing here is pit road speeding penalties. And I remember saying to myself when I was practicing for that race is, I know I'm going to be I'll have some pace on the racetrack. I'm not going to have any pace in the pits, but I'm going to be safe in pit road. I'm going to do my pit stops efficiently, but just really, I know I'm not going to be as fast as everyone hitting that line. But I know I'm not going to get any speeding penalties, and that's eventually what moved me up. And I finished that race up in the top 10. I was 1 lap down. I think I was the first car 1 lap down, but I did finish the top 10 in that race. But the other thing I really remember about that race, other than making sure that I came to pit road safely, is just how hard every single lap I was running. Like, that entire 300-mile race, it felt like a sprint to me.
This is definitely one of those tracks, and like you mentioned in a previous explanation, it's very bumpy here too. So a lot of these guys that have fancy direct drive wheels, the wheel is constantly shaking.
Yes. Yes.
Well, because especially if you're racing hard like this for 500 miles in a green flag racing condition, it can really start to put a lot of vibrations through your wrists and your arms and everything, and it may seem like you're just racing a computer game here, but trust me when I say that some of these guys have top-of-the-line steering wheels and everything that it's a workout for everyone, and sometimes these guys like it this way.
So let's reset the field. Thanks for joining us, everybody. If you're just joining us, this is P1's coverage of the GETTRX 500 presented by the Joy of Driving. A.J. Hobson out in front by 1.7 seconds. Like I said, it might as well be 5 miles over Craig Forsyth, who's in second. Eric Peterson has worked his way back up to third after having a moment off of turn 2 that he caught it, kept it off the wall on the infield there. Down the backstretch, Jimmy Herrick. As I said, this is his MO, just keeping the car clean and green, has now worked his way up to 4th. Jeff Hysong. Jeff was one of the drivers I chased for much of that race in my very first Lionheart race. My very first Lionheart race here. I remember chasing him for a good portion of that race. And he and I had a very similar strategy. We were just, hitting pit road safely, making our laps, keeping it off the wall, minimizing mistakes. So I think he finished 8th, maybe just on the tail end of the lead lap right in front of me. But he is 5th here today. Joseph Morales, very quietly. Jomo sitting there in 6th. Last car on the lead lap. He's all by himself at the moment. But if we catch a late caution, he will be right back up in this pack. He is currently, 17 seconds behind the leader and 11 seconds behind P5. Mark Murphy caught speeding on pit road by the cops. He is now 7th. So the Chippies caught him, and they held him for 40 seconds on pit road. He's now down a lap. but he is by far the fastest, one of the fastest cars on the racetrack. Right along with him, CHP caught Chris Fowler. He had to have a 40-second hold on pit road in his last stop. He is 8th, also 1 lap down. Joining them on the 1 lap down parade is Gary Lovern. He is 1 lap down in 9th, and Nick Wheeler, who's recovered from an incident with Gary Pahutsky coming off of turn 2. He had to tow, get to the pit road. He is currently, and had to execute the fast repair. He is currently 1 lap down, but he is going to have to come to pit road here real soon. He's 24 laps into his current stint, but he's tucked right up underneath Wagner, trying to make this stint last as long. Well, no, now he's down low. Now he's back under Wagner there, trying to make it last as long as possible, just to maybe to catch another caution. Wagner down to the bottom of the racetrack. Is he coming to pit road? He's 16 laps in. I don't know. Normally we see him at sometimes in real IndyCar racing. They'll make that abrupt move to the left side to let everyone know they're coming to pit road. But we do have radios here, so I don't know.
As you're going through the lineup there, I'm wondering if Joseph Morales is channeling the inner old school Gary here. Just make sure you keep it clean on the track, keep it clean on the pit lane, and next thing you know, you see your standings going lower and lower and lower, and next thing you know, you're sitting in P6 like he is right now.
There is nothing wrong with the Gary strat. It's proven at least one win in iRacing competition.
Absolutely not.
Hobson now 1.8 seconds, pulling away from Forsyth. Now, what possibilities do we have here for fuel save? Are we a full burn to the finish? It's just nothing about it. There's no way to save, or is there any possibilities to save here? What's the math say?
So we all stopped around 163 or so. So I don't think we're
173. 173 for Hobson, 176 for Forsyth.
Yep, you're right. I thought I was looking at Hobson, but I'm looking at someone else. It's not a fuel save here. It's kind of right in the middle of the sequence, so I think it'll be full burn with 2 more pit stops.
In terms of teammates that are actually in contention, there is Forsyth and Herrick. Now, Herrick up to 3rd on the bottom step of the podium. Oh, Craig in the wall off of 4. In the dirty air of Mark Cohn. Cohn passing Brubacher. That's a battle for position. That's a battle for 11th and 12th.
Yeah, I think that was a slap on both right side tires, so he should be okay with that one. But yeah, we're getting to that point now where we've run green flag for so long that people are starting to unwind the wheel a little bit earlier, get a little bit lazier, maybe lose a little bit of focus, and these guys are really working hard for this one. 500 miles here is no joke.
Yeah, the ad blocker on Forsyth's car there on the right side. That's that little fin on the side pod there. I call it the ad blocker, right? Well, can't circle it there very well, but we'll see on another shot. You'll see it scuffed up. This little wing right here. Yep, right there. And so it's scuffed up on the other side. So he's got, you see the scuff marks there. So he's got contact. So what he could do, if he hasn't executed already the fast repair, which he has not. And I can tell you who has executed one, who has not already in the top 10 here. Hobson still has his fast repair. Forsyth has his fast repair. Herrick, fast repair. Peterson still has his. Heisung still has his. Everyone still has theirs down to Wheeler. Wheeler is the first of the cars still racing that's used their fast repair.
Some fancy technology you got there, Gary.
Yeah. Actually,
you're more to know than I am.
Actually, I think I can, on the screen here, fast repair is used. There you go. Fast repair used on the tree. There you see. Wheeler's used one, Cohn's used one, Pahutsky's used one, Santos has used one, Ramsey, Stouffer, they've all used one. Also pit stop count. There you see a pit stop count, 6 stops for our top 4. 7 stops for Haisong and Morales. I believe those were top-offs there at the end of the last couple of cautions that we've had. Lovern up in 9th has done it on 5 stops.
So I'm redoing the math here a little bit, and I think if these guys can make it to 210, there's a slight chance for a fuel save. But again, the way that these cars are all spread out, it's not really easy to fuel save right now. The leaders are kind of together a little bit, and they're able to perhaps do something for a fuel save, but a lot of the field is very much single file right now. So I mean, Craig Forsyth is our king fuel saver, as we all know. So if he can make it to 210, 211, then I think we might be in a situation where he and maybe 1 or 2 other cars can do one more stop. We saw some drivers do 38 laps, but I'm sure that we could tamp the pace down a little bit. And if it's in the cards to maybe bring your pace down a tiny bit, you do lose a lap here during a pit stop. So if you could go maybe 2 or 3 seconds a lap slower, I guess it's possible to really try and make the fuel save work. But you'll have to commit to it as soon as you leave the pit lane.
Sure. Last stint, and we're watching Hobson here, is led 23 of 196 laps currently in the books. Last stint, Forsyth and Herrick did 41 laps. Murphy and Fowler did 40. Fowler did 42. Murphy did 41. Lovern did 41. Cohn did 41. But I'm not sure how much of that was involving caution. I think there was some caution under that. Whoa, what do we got?
Pahutsky got very loose off turn 4 there.
Oh, yeah, right in front of Herrick.
Saved in front of Forsyth, actually. Yeah, you're right. Sorry. He saved it, though. That's what matters, really. In the long run.
Herrick wants to get around that, and I think Pahutsky might be coming to pit road. He's like, yeah, I think my tires are spent, and definitely are spent now, as he did a 4-tire lock slide to the cone. But he's on the button, rolling to his stop there. As I was saying, he's in a very era-proper livery of the Schmidt-Peterson Motorsports Aero sponsorship. That's so at Hinch drove, as well as Briscoe. Did he drive that one too? When Hinch was injured, when he got injured at Indy?
Yes.
Yeah, right. And this is I think
as well.
Yeah, I think it's the one that Briscoe put on the roof at the end of that MAV 500 race that everyone complained about on the infield. But he's made his, I think that might be his, well, he might have one more stop after this. He's going to have to really, really save. I don't think anyone's done 50 on a stint yet.
Yeah, that's a stretch. I think the 40s and the 41s that you were talking about in the last stint are definitely a stretch. So I think based on the numbers that you were spitting out before, really you're safe at 209. Probably 208 if you really want to push it, but you're not going to want to pit early here. You're going to want to be saving the fuel until the last second, because that'll give you a little bit more of an opportunity to push on the last stint.
Well, here's Cohn underneath AJ, and maybe AJ wants to let Cohn by and get into the draft. Actually, Forsyth is eating into Hobson's lead now. It was like 1.8. Now it's 0.8. So he's gotten a second down. I think AJ might be trying to save some fuel. Of course, the tires are going away.
Well, if we're looking at the lap 173 situation, I think it won't be too much of a stretch. That leaves 77 laps to go in the race, and you can do a 38 and 39 pretty safely. So I think that these guys are definitely going to be just one more stop. Now that we've done the math a little bit more, I was looking at 163 incorrectly at someone else's last pit stop there, which led me to believe that it was going to be 2 more stops for everybody. But I think with the 173 pit stop, that leaves everybody with 1 more stop to go, and it gives us one more opportunity to watch how these guys do these green flag pit stops.
Yeah, they
far, we haven't gone through the whole field without seeing some
caution. Yeah, they have to. Specifically for now, the pressure's on Hobson. He could say that he doesn't feel any pressure where he is, but I mean, here's his stat line: 57 starts in this series, 2 poles, only 1 win, 12 top 5s, 31 top 10s. So only one win, and you're now staring less than 50 laps in the face of your second checkered flag here in the series, and at that, a crown jewel. The pressure's got to be on, and you have yourself behind you a proven race winner at multiple levels, not just in Dark Horse, not just in Area 51, not just in Lionheart, but just proven at multiple levels. Craig Forsyth, who we know very well can win this race, staring you down. So the pressure is on Hobson that he needs to get on pit road and off pit road as efficiently as possible for his final stop. How many times in the annals of history, of IndyCar history, that we've seen drivers coming down to their final stop and blowing it? Roberto Guerrero, Scott Dixon, who else am I missing? Coming down to that final stop and muffing it.
I don't know if Scott Dixon's ever messed up a pit stop in his life, personally, but you have a better encyclopedia than me, so...
He got caught speeding at on pit road coming down for the final stop at Indianapolis while he was in the lead.
Yeah, that's correct.
He was staring win number 2 of the 500 squarely in the face. And someone that's only 9 wins away from, or now less than 9 wins away from catching AJ Foyt all time. You figure wouldn't buckle under pressure, but hey, mistakes happen.
Because Matt Wagner down pit road gets the stops in time, good pit entry. So that pretty much writes the script for Matt Wagner. He's going to have to come for a splash at the end of this race. Also not a factor at this point, still being 5 laps down. So Matt has stuck it out. Kudos to him for continuing to race despite his disconnection earlier. I probably would have found something else to do with my time myself.
He's moved up to 14th. At one point he was next to last in 17th, and he's moved up to 14th. Every little bit helps.
Off the jacks he comes. Matt Wagner has completed his stop, and he will rejoin the race. Yeah, we're getting close to that 210 number. We're at 207 right now, and everybody still seems to be out there. And Craig has really chipped into that lead. AJ had a 2-second lead at one point during this stint, and now he's right behind him. So that either proves to me that AJ was purposely trying to go a little slower to save fuel, to make sure he gets on the same target as everybody else, or Craig has turned up the wick and he's not saving as much fuel as we think. But again, I think this is an easy fuel situation from here now that we've done the math. So they just got to go a couple more laps and then they're good for one more stop. But these guys are going to run the tanks out for sure to make their last pit stop as short as possible.
Craig Forsyth, 66 starts in the series. 10 wins, 32 top 5s, 48 top 10s for Craig Forsyth.
You could see he had a full opportunity to make a move there on Hobson, but he just kind of lifted a little bit, saved a little bit more fuel. We're coming around to start lap 209 right now, so I think we've officially reached a point where it's an easy fuel save from here. So I would imagine that these guys go to maybe about 212, 213 or so, and then they'll start to come down pit road.
Craig Forsyth won one race last season. It was at the sister track to California at Michigan. He won a nip and tuck battle there at the end, was on the pole, won the race at a 300-miler. And here comes AJ. So we shall see how he comes to pit road. Did he get down to the limit? He slid through it. Okay, good job. Half the battle is fought. Now the other half of the battle is getting to your spot and not sliding through your box. Here he comes, down to his box, coming to a stop. Up on the jacks, perfect stop. Enough fuel to get to the end, doesn't need a full tank. Tires get changed inside of 5 seconds, down and away. Final stop complete at lap 210 for AJ Hobson, looking for his second win here in the Dark Horse Series. And he's down and away.
Jim Herrick's, he had a left front wobbling down the front straightaway, but he had some incident somewhere along the way.
Not sure what happens. Let's go back a little bit. And Jim Herrick here. Did he make a little contact in 3 and 4? What happened? Oh, car got loose. And JB right in front of him went into the wall, and he makes contact with JB and leaps over him. Two wheels it.
Herrick is stuck in the pit lane. I think he might have sped coming in and got a little loose, and he hit the attenuator a tiny bit, and he is stopped on pit lane.
Oh, no. So that's Craig Forsyth now. So Brubacher, he's sideways and on pit road, so he's trying to get taken care of. He's doing the old Austin Powers backup move, backup forward move, position his car, and he's down and away.
He beat Jeff Hysong's
5.6 point, yeah. So Forsyth still out there turning laps 37. Peterson now just off of pit road, final stop complete. He has now moved up to second.
And looks like we've reached a point now where Forsyth is the only car on the lead lap. So if a caution were to happen right now, Greg will hit and keep the lead. So
yes,
that's also something to keep in mind.
And it's if it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen now, late in the race. Low concentration, people coming to pit road. I think
Greg coming in this lap.
Okay, I think maybe Herrick is done. He's suffering some sort of repair and penalty. Here comes Murph to pit road, giving up second spot, so he's moved up to second. Hobson's going to get by him here on the main straight. Move Hobson back up to second.
He got his lap back, yeah. But I was checking the laps. Hobson was about 0.6 of a lap faster than Forsyth on the last 2 laps. So I believe Hobson's going to take the lead here. As long as even if Forsyth has a clean pit stop, we saw Hobson had a great pit in, pit out. So I think that Hobson's going to clear Forsyth.
We'll see. We'll ride with Hobson. He's coming through 3 and 4. He is on it, 100% throttle. There you see in the driver inputs.
Forsyth's on the access road.
There you see, and there he goes. That is huge, and that might have been the move that wins him the race.
Now keep in mind that he did pit with 41 to go, and that is a little bit of a light fuel save, so I'm sure that Hobson just wanted to run the best laps he could to try and get the gap as best as he possibly can, and then he can kind of slow his pace down a little bit as Forsyth starts to pick the pace back up again. But it looks like it's a 1-2 Hobson-Forsyth situation right now, with Peterson just slightly behind in third.
And Hysong has worked his way up to fourth. Again, deploying the same strategy that I followed him when we had our line art race here. He's just keeping the car safe, hitting pit road, no penalties.
And these 4 cars are on their own lap right now, so if we were to get a caution right now, it really comes down to these 4. No one else really is in contention right now. So if we have a caution, we're looking at our top 4, as long as they don't do one more pit stop and give some cars the opportunity to wave around. But I imagine since everybody's done with their pit stops now, it's basically just down to these 4. So I'm sure Jeff wants a caution right now because he's a little bit farther behind, and if a caution comes out, he has the opportunity to fight for a win.
Watching Peterson right now. He's in a group of cars. He is now 5 laps into his run. So if there's any question of him not being able to make it on fuel mileage, if he just sticks with this group, he should be able to definitely 100% be able to get there, just saving a little fuel here. Also, it should propel him to catch Forsyth, although it's not. He's right now continuing to hemorrhage time to Forsyth, 2.1 seconds behind Forsyth, and a group of somewhat cars that have had somewhat pace at times today. Oh, he cleared Butsky, but barely. Actually, it was a lot closer. It was a lot further along than it looked there on the replay or on the live action.
Peterson really has to get a move on here. He has to find some way to get past these 2 lap cars. Otherwise, he has no shot to catch up to Forsyth. But what lap did Peterson pit on? 212. So yeah, he's definitely good to go the rest of the way for fuel as well. He just has to clear these 2 cars, which are feeding him a lot of dirty air. We have another car coming down pit road right now. Looks like Joseph Morales, which is a head scratcher because he was just on pit road about 8 laps ago.
Maybe are we answering a call, or did we possibly? We'll see what happens if he comes down as he get tires. Did he possibly have the old tire box unchecked, and or maybe the fuel didn't hit the tank? Yeah, it's a top off.
That's an interesting one. He was on pit road on lap 210, so Joseph Morales coming in for a splash. He threw away a top 6 that he was kind of racing around there. He'll drop probably maybe 2 spots. Still top 8, which is about halfway up the field from where he started, but unfortunate they had to come down pit road again.
He's up 9 spots, but the biggest gainer of the day is the leader right there, the man you're watching in the Ed Carpenter Fuzzy Vodka livery. He is our leader, A.J. Hobson. And the bright orange, coyote orange, A.J. Foyt helmet.
Unfortunately for Joseph Morales, he's come out right in this big angry pack that Eric Peterson's in, so that's another car. Oh, it looks like Peterson cleared him, so Peterson cleared Wheeler as well, so now he just has to worry about Murph up ahead, and I imagine that won't be too difficult for him, but yeah, Peterson's losing time. If anything, he's 2.1 back from Forsyth, and he was closer to 2 seconds about 3 or 4 laps ago. So I think if Peterson just kind of rides it out here, he has a nice podium position ready, barring any cautions. But yeah, it's unfortunate that he wasn't able to clear that traffic earlier, because we could have had a battle for P2 there if he was able to get ahead of them.
Back up front, Hobson, your leader by now, almost 4 seconds, 3.9. If we said 1.5 was 5 miles, then 3.9 miles will be 15. He's that far ahead. There you see Forsyth just in the background coming off a 2. $27 to go. Thanks for joining us, everybody. If you're just joining us, this is late in the going here. 500 mile, or the GETTRX 500 mile at California Speedway, presented by the Joy of Driving. Tonight's race coverage, of course, has been brought to you by GETTRX, the fastest name in credit card processing. GETTRX should be the only stop for business owner, regardless of size, for their credit card processing needs. Visit GETTRX.com/win. That's GETTRX.com/WIN to learn how you can increase the money in your pocket by decreasing your credit card fees. The link is in the description. Season-long race coverage of the Dark Horse 2,000 Mile Ride Series is brought to you by the Joy of Racing. Looking for entertaining sim racing content? Look no further than the Joy of Driving. Follow Mark Cohn. We'll put the camera right on him right there as he's right behind our leader. Follow Mark Cohn's racing escapades as he battles for wins and avoids wrecks with cat-like reflexes, all the while providing commentary to make sure you laugh, cry, or do both. Follow along by subscribing to the Joy of Driving on YouTube, or like his Facebook page at the Joy of Driving. 24 to go.
It seems A.J. Hobson's actually doing very consistent laps right now. His laps have been consistently 33.1 for the last 9 laps or so. So if there's any question about fuel, he's not addressing it quite yet. He has Mark Cohn sitting right behind him, as we saw in the advertisement there. So if I were Hobson, I would just let Cohn go and start to save some fuel, especially with the lead he's got. There's no need really for him to hold off at all. But I was going to say he would put himself at risk at racing in his dirty air and allowing Craig to possibly catch up.
Yeah.
I am noticing that Peterson has closed, and he's 1.6 behind Craig now.
Yeah, and look at the last lap speeds. Tells you the story now that might unfold here in the final 23 laps. Hobson, 2:15 last lap, now 2:17. Forsyth continues to turn 2:18 to 2:18.5. Peterson turned 2:19 last lap at 2:18.7. So Forsyth is gaining on Hobson, and Peterson's gaining on Forsyth.
Well, he's also following Murphy, which we established earlier. He is the fastest car on track, so Murphy's pulling Peterson right along, right into the clutches of Craig Forsyth. So if you give it another 7-8 laps or so, we could see a nice battle for P2 here, or if both of them are catching Hobson, the battle for the win is on.
On 2:19 flat for Peterson, a 2:17.8 for Forsyth. This time a 2:18 flat for Hobson. So Hobson maybe has seen the Canadian gaining and decided that it's time to stop playing. Maybe time to stop saving. Who knows? We'll ask if we get him in the booth. We'll find out if he had to save on this stint or not. I imagine that's probably going to be your question, so we'll save it for you.
No, I don't know. Casey Putsky is coming into pit lane right now.
Let's go to Casey Pahutsky there for his final stop. He's only at 32, so we suspected that he would have to stop again. So 20 to go. He's making that turn down pit road for his final stop. Been an interesting race for him. But he's staring at a possible top 10 if something happens in front of him. But he's going to not go up on the jacks. Oh, no, he did go up on the jacks. New tires, going to top off just enough fuel to get to the end. 19 to go. Casey is 4 laps down, but his final stop for today is complete. Still watching the speeds at the front. Hobson 2:17.7. Forsyth 2:17.9, Peterson 2:17.5. Last laps.
Peterson seems to have lost the draft a little bit from Murphy, and Murphy's closer to Forsyth now. So
yeah, he's 8/10 back from Murph, and that is really at the edge of the draft window.
I'd be a little bummed if I was Eric Peterson right now, because he had a meal ticket right to 7th place, and it was working for quite a bit, but the gap's starting to grow a bit. It got down to 1.4, now it's back up to 1.7 behind Forsyth, and I imagine it's going to continue to expand from here unless Peterson really starts to pick up the pace a little bit.
Well, 18 to go, and during the first race this season, Peterson finished 4th, and Craig Forsyth actually finished 2nd. Forsyth looking at another P2. Peterson looking at a P3 and a P4 to start this little mini season. These are going to be your 2 points leaders at the end of the day if everything were to finish status quo right now. And A.J. Hobson might actually join them. He was 7th at Michigan, and if he gets the win here today, that's going to catapult him as well. So the points battle for this short little championship is going to be tight here going to Pocono.
And we'll be 1,000 miles into the 2,000-mile extravaganza.
Halfway done.
Some people have. It'd be interesting to see if anyone actually does the full 2,000 miles. Right, that's another question.
Right now, it's Forsyth and Peterson and Hysong are the only ones eligible. Hobson as well. So let's see. Morales, Hinton, Hobson, Lovern, Hysong, Peterson, Murphy, Forsyth, and Stouffer all finished the 500 miles at Michigan. So Hobson, Forsyth, Peterson will all have 500 miles again here, provided they finish. Hysong the same way. Murph needs to get back on the lead lap, and he can join that group. Lovern can join that group as well if he can somehow get to the lead lap, but not in the last 15 laps, not unless something big happens.
That'd be an interesting thing to track as well. Just if it's a 2,000 mile thing, but will someone actually do all 2,000 miles? So that's something else we could kind of sidetrack as well. obviously this race disqualifies all but 4 drivers, so it'll be interesting to see if those 4 drivers can finish on the lead lap in the next 2 as well.
Now we could go back into Dark Horse history just last season and bring up Pocono, where champion Eric Schaus really got his championship campaign started with a win there at Pocono. But if we go back into the Wayback Machine and look at what happened there, Schaus won, Eckert second, Stouffer third, Wagner fourth, Hobson fifth. And Hobson, Lovern, Morales, David Henger, William Swinson, a couple names that we haven't seen in a little while, as well as those that we saw that finished on the podium there of Schaus, Eckert, Stouffer, and Wagner. They all finished the 100 laps there. So I would say Hobson has as good a shot as anyone.
And I'm watching Hobson. He's not brought his pace down at all. So
2:18.5 last time by. Considerably faster.
Like he can make it.
Yeah.
The rest of the way on 40 laps of fuel. So let's hope he doesn't cough across the line or something like that. But to show that he hasn't done any fuel saving whatsoever, I think he's confident that he'd go the 40 laps or 41 laps, I guess it would be if you hit on 210 to make it to checker flags.
Now, Hobson didn't have the greatest season last season. He finished 15th in the season standings. So
I see Gary Lovern's going quite slow right now.
Yeah, 2:10 for Lovern last lap.
And Hobson's catching him.
We got a car on the apron down there. There's Wagner on the apron.
His final stop. Lovern's been quite slow for several laps now.
Oh, yeah, he's going to try to make it. He is 28 laps into his stint, and he's going to try to go another 10 more. Whew. Without any caution. That's going to be 202. Yeah, you can hear him. He's down to the bottom. He's not going to get in Hobson's way. Hobson's got a full head of steam. He's going to catch him in not a great spot. Okay, now he catches him in a better spot. Going to use his draft a little bit. Gives him room, and to the outside, and bye-bye. Glover now 2 laps down, but in 6th spot. And Cone, I think, moved up a spot. I think.
Yep, I believe that should be Cone up ahead of
Lover now.
Gary Lover now. Yep. I wonder where Joseph Morales might be. Yeah,
Joseph Morales is just coming on the front stretch right now.
Yeah, it's possible he could possibly overtake him. Especially if Gary has to go slower and slower and slower.
2:08 for Lover and 2:16 for Morales. 7 to go at the front. Hobson 2:16.6. Forsyth 2:18.3. Peterson 2:13.7. Let's check on gaps, see if High Song might have a shot at Peterson. He's 7 seconds back from Peterson. Peterson's 4 from Forsyth. Forsyth 3.5 from Hobson, and he's got a whole host of traffic around him right now.
Yeah, I think Morales will probably catch him before the end of the race.
Hobson coming to pit road. Did we miscalculate?
It was definitely tough to do 41 laps. He was doing blistering pace, so that's unfortunate for Hobson. He must have miscalculated. Jeff Hysong is also coming in So he also miscalculated quite well. He was on 209, so it was going to be difficult for him as well.
So now there's Forsyth, who pitted just right around when AJ did, not too much. He's 30.
Forsyth hit on 2:15, so he should be good.
2:15. He's 32 laps in, so maybe he's going to go right at the 4. And then Peterson, where's Peterson? Peterson's at 35. It's going to be tight for him too. He's down on speed now. We'll get that 206, yeah, 209. And he's in Hobson's draft.
Oh, this is interesting. Wondering how these guys made 40 laps. You know, it seemed like that number was easy to make for some of these guys. Let's see, Forsyth on his, in particular, he went, what is that? He pit on 176 and he pit on 215.
215.
So he did about 40 there, which leads me to believe he could do 30. What is that? 35 laps to the finish, no problem.
3 to go.
So, yeah,
2 to go now at the line.
Hobson should have been able to. I think Hobson needed to save more fuel than he actually did. He was just doing such a blistering pace that it wound up hurting him in the end. But this puts Mark Murphy back on the lead lap.
Yeah, and he's now, yeah, you're right, back on the lead lap. So he's eligible for that to get the 2,000-mile award at the end that you were talking about. He's back on it now. Forsyth's still on it. Peterson's still on it. White flag, I think, coming in the air this time by for Craig Forsyth. Finished second last race at Michigan. And if he can make it to the finish line, I called my shot on this guy. I said, this is my pick.
Yari is slow on the back straightaway. Maybe he's another one who's trying to desperately make it cough across the start-finish line as well.
And off of 4, looking at the win and a 500-miler here at the GETTRX 500-mile presented by the Joy of Driving. The man who's the joyous of driving right now for him is Craig Forsyth, your winner on a gas mileage final stint. And let's get back here and, Peterson, he's out of fuel, but he crosses in second. Murph down the backstretch. He managed to get back on the lead lap because of Hobson coming to pit road. And he is going to finish third. Wow. And Hobson is already taken the checkered flag, and man, what could have been was staring at win number 2 in the face and just needed a couple more laps.
Once Craig crossed the line and Mark started the last lap, it would be a third place anyway, even if you ran out of fuel on track, because no one else would have passed him.
And real quick, let's queue up.
We still have Matt Wagner running laps out here, so maybe he wants he heard me, and he wants to do 2,000 miles in his own way.
It used to be back in IndyCar driving, at least at the 500, that you had a certain time late after a time limit after the checkered flag that you could try to complete your laps. And it wasn't. It's a relatively recent rule change, and when I say recent, within like the last 60 or 70 years or so, where they changed the rule that says once the checkered flag falls, the race is then over. But you were given like another 15 minutes or so to complete laps, so that maybe he's living in the old days. We'll see.
Yeah, as we speak, he's still circulating, so he wants to do 500 miles this race in his own manner. So this is his disconnect time that he managed to squeeze out. So yeah, he's gonna do 2,000 miles, but it doesn't count, unfortunately, because the standings say one thing.
Yeah, it's just a test for him today. But let's get the final standings in. Wow, what a race! I think the dark horse guys always leave you on the edge. Here you go. Craig Forsyth with the win. And props to him. We're going to talk to him about his final couple of stints and how he was able to save that fuel, because I think we were doing the math and I thought we were giving it to AJ, but all of the flowers and the props go to Craig for pulling that one out. And he's probably going to be our points leader right next to Eric Peterson, who finished 4th in our first race, but a very well-deserved podium here. And they led some laps. So it wasn't really like he backed in. It started from the pole, led some laps, was up front all day long, P2. Good for him. Mark Murphy, he was on the podium for, I believe, on race 1. So he's going to be on the podium for race 2. He's going to be in the points championship. He managed to sneak back on the lead lap because of Hobson. But a good run for him. But I'm sure he's going to be kicking himself for that speeding on pit road. Hobson 4th. I'm sure he wanted a lot more, but a top 5 is a good finish to get you in a good point situation, despite how short this season is. Hysong, great run for him. Very consistent. P5. Mark Cohen, P6. Gary Lever in 7th. Jomo in 8th. JB in 9th. Nick Wheeler in 10th. Bahutsky 11th. Wagner 12th, despite making extra laps. Fowler 13th. Herrick 14th. Santos 15th. Eckert 16th. Ramsey 17th. Stouffer 18th. Not a good day for last race winner. Finishing first in the first one, last in the next one. Is his championship hopes open? We don't know. He is very much a, as I say, a Pocono whisperer. So I suspect that he will be doing well at Pocono and maybe reviving the championship hopes. We shall see. All right, let's get to the interview room, and let's bring up Mark Murphy, and let's talk about his improbable podium finish here. Mark, got you in the booth. We're calling it the improbable podium. We didn't think you were going to get it until right at the very end. When AJ had to stop, you got back on the lead lap, walked into 3rd spot there. But you got to be kicking yourself over that speeding on pit road of what should have, what could have been, huh?
Yeah, I mean, all credit to the IL guys. All credit to the LC Motorsports team, Mark Cohn and Matty Wagner. We had a fast car, and driver error. Driver error give us a 40-second hold and lost the race by 32 seconds. So figure that out. But just keep bringing fast cars and keep showing up and keep doing what you're supposed to be doing. And luck evens out. I feel bad for Christopher. We come together over there off of 2, and I feel bad for him and I feel bad for Matt. He freak thing, had his internet go out and lost himself a pretty good finish. But just overall that was frenzy. That was 3 stints of qualifying laps to get back to it, and we made it happen, right? We got the P3. I knew AJ and I knew there's another car up there, but I knew there were 2 cars ahead of us that couldn't make it on gas. And so it was just drive as hard as you can and drive as hard as you can. I kept looking to fuel, and it was like you're 0.2 of a gallon of the good, you're 0.15 of a gallon of the good. And thankfully Matty Wagner came out and bailed me out and pulled me around for the last 5 or so to get me home. But I crossed the line with 0.03 left in the tank.
Go ahead, Andrew.
Yes. Hey, Mark. So good job on the podium today. I'm sure probably you thought that the race is over after your penalty there, but I'm curious of how you were mentioning you were doing 3 stints of qualifying runs there. So how much hindrance of other cars did you have while doing those qualifying runs? And were you finding that it was easier to find some clean air, or were you always trying to take the optimal line the whole way around? Or how did you find that the other guys were racing around you? Just as you mentioned, and I mentioned on the broadcast, that you seemed like the fastest car out there today. So talk about how you were able to claw back some of that time, and was it easy to do those qualifying laps or not?
Well, I mean, it's 500-mile race. It's never over. Especially, Dark Horse, you got a lucky dog. So, you're just one caution away from getting back into it. As far as that went, as far as clawing back the time went, I discovered early in the race that you can make a lot of time and make the car real free. But you make a lot of time if you hook the bottom and downshifted into fourth gear, and that was consistently about a tenth of a lap quicker. And no, I didn't have any problem with other cars because we were able to run up on them so fast from the back that we were able to get by people, and it got pretty strung out. So you didn't really have to worry about the rolling roadblocks too much because you couldn't really, the car handled beautifully, but you couldn't really stack them 3 or 4 wide like we see here sometimes. So it was, and it got pretty spread out. So it was more one at a time and just take the slingshot and go on down the road, and just kept doing that and kept doing that and kept doing that. You had to be mindful of the right front, but other than that, no, I didn't have any problem going through the field. I'm kicking myself for locking the rear brakes coming to pit road. It's just a shame.
Well, despite it, you started the season now. We were talking about it midway through the race. You're now one of a handful of people that are now completed 1,000 miles of this 2,000-mile odyssey. You finished on the podium for both races, so that's going to squarely put you in the points because they are keeping track of points for this small championship. You're in the running, man. You're still there, and we know one of your best tracks, Indianapolis, is coming up. All you got to do is kind of get through Pocono, and we'll see where we, if this thing shakes out later in September in Indianapolis. So you're there, and it's not by a great deal of luck. Probably you're lower in the standings because of more bad luck. Because really, Andrew was the one that called his shot. He says you're going to win. So he's the jinx, by the way. You weren't there because of a bad driving effort on your part, really, necessarily. It just, one little mistake. And we were talking about that when people were coming to pit road, the number of drivers that made mistakes coming to pit road on their final stops or whatever. So you're there. You got a shot at this championship. So as depressed as you got to feel that there's still a silver lining to all this, and there's still a lot of upside that you're now in this championship fight with 2 races to go, and one of the tracks is your strongest track.
Yeah, anytime you can come to a 500-mile race and complete all 500 miles, you got a shot. And that's the goal. It's not, a 500-mile race in these cars, Gary, is just, it's just finishing on the lead lap is a win, and anything beyond that's a bonus. It kind of stinks to feel bad about having kind of stinks to feel bad about finishing third, but we'll take it. We'll go on down the road, and you just, that was the best we could do with the hand we got dealt, man, and that's all you can do. And you thank Black Magic Designs and Admin Box and IAR and LC Motorsports and Maddie and the Watchman, and you go on, you know what I mean? And we'll go to Indianapolis and we'll go to Pocono. I love Pocono almost as much as I love Indy. So I'm looking forward to both those tracks. It's the old bumpy Pocono. So
legacy. Yep.
Yeah, it's old bumpy Pocono. So we're gonna have a good time there, and we'll see what happens. Just got to keep showing up and keep going fast and keep having fun, and things work out, man.
Well, congratulations, nevertheless. I will probably see you on Tuesday's Top Split broadcast when the IndyCars go to Kansas. But you and I will be in the booth next, and actually you'll be on P1 here on the 19th when the ISRA Truck Series Season 2 kicks off. on the 19th there. So you'll be joining me in the booth for that. But the next time we see you in the DW12 will be September 8th when we go to Pocono, and you're in the running for the championship. So keep at her, man.
Heck yeah, man. It's going to be a busy week. You know, we're gonna be sick and tired of Gateway by the time it's over. We're gonna run that race tomorrow. We're gonna run Kansas. We're gonna run the Road to Pro race. We got a pretty good shot to get in a high split in that one.
Good.
We're gonna try to do it all this week. And you know, again, my hat's off to the Watchman and Matty Wagner. They didn't get the finishes they deserved. They were both plenty fast, and you know, I'm looking forward to running a lot of Gateway and a little bit of Kansas this week with Seb and Jesper and Kevin and Rashad and Sam and all the gang at Indy Alliance. So we'll just keep going fast and having fun, Gary.
You got it. Congratulations. Like I said, we'll check you out at the next one. But in the meantime, take care.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Gary. Thank you, Andrew. Y'all have a good night. You hear?
You too.
All right, and let's bring
By the
down.
way, Gary,
Yes.
you're only a jinx if your pick doesn't work. If you pick the right one, then you're a hero. So I just want to correct that. For the
Well,
record. I've been holding that in for the last 3 minutes.
Well, let's flip the script here. For someone that's kind of disappointed to finish third, to someone that I know is extremely happy that they finished second on the podium.
Yeah, hopefully I was
here he is, Andrew. Don't Eric, don't say anything else. We got you here in the booth, live mic. But I was just going to transition to you. I'm going to jump from someone that wasn't necessarily happy to finish third to someone that I know is extremely happy to have finished second. And you are thoroughly involved in this championship race now, with a fourth at the first race at Michigan and a podium here at Fontana. Welcome to the podium. Welcome to the broadcast, finally. And, man, welcome to the championship race. Tell us all about it. I think the only incident that you possibly had was that one little, you got loose off of 2, or you smacked the wall and got loose off of 2, recovered. But after that, it didn't seem much to be a problem. After that, really, there wasn't any problems leading up to that, for that matter. You were just leading laps and doing your thing. You got on the pole and everything.
That was just a lack of concentration. I barely touched the apron. It got the car just a little bit loose, which I had done in practice a few times. And if you stayed in the gas, it just kind of stayed and did what it did. But that one kind of shot me out to the wall. I wasn't expecting it. And then I bounced off the turn 2 wall, and then it kind of, or was it turn 2, I think? Maybe I can't remember. I hit the wall a few times. But that one, just shot me in. I'm like, oh. And guys in my Discord, I'm like, oh, here I go. And I went down the inside and just managed to save it, thank goodness. But it certainly put me in a hole, you know, because I thought I had a pretty good run. Well, I obviously ended up with a pretty good run, but, you know, thought I was, you know, when I was leading like that, I was hopefully just going to ready to pull out. I was 0.6 ahead, trying to break that, get that 0.8, that magic 0.8, 0.9 ahead where you break that draft. So, but
Go ahead, Andrew.
Is what it is. Ended up with a great second. You know, congrats to Craig. He has Mr. Fuel Save. So,
we'll grill him enough when he gets here next.
Yeah.
So, Eric, it seemed like you were kind of. I actually don't know what to ask you, because you had such a quiet race, except for the fact that when you took the lead during one of those green flag pit stops. So I guess my question that I'll ask is, did you feel more comfortable leading, and what did you feel like you had enough pace and out front that you were able to not have so much of a challenge to the guys that were behind, or did you feel more comfortable just kind of sitting in the pack and saving some fuel and just kind of waiting for your time to pounce?
Yeah, I had a really good, like, first, I would call it, I kind of divvied up the race in thirds. And so I kind of went, you know, the first third I was, you know, really comfortable in that 4th or 5th spot, just kind of hanging out and let people go if they want to go. I didn't want to get too far back. I definitely didn't want to lose the lead pack. That was the deal, is just stay. I didn't care what place I was in, if I was leading or if I was in 5th, but I just got into a really good rhythm into that 5th and 6th spot where I was just kind of hanging out, and just as long as I could get down to that white line in both corners, and, you know, just let it roll through the center. And then being able to power off and stay with those guys, I was fine, saving a little fuel, getting a bit better mileage. And then that second third, I was kind of leading, and then lost focus and touched the apron and did my little trip through the infield asphalt there.
Which we both missed, by the way, because we were both looking at other things, and all of a sudden I saw a yellow car off the track. So that'll be fun to look back.
Yeah,
on.
100% on me. Just I don't know what the heck I was thinking. The car just turned. All of a sudden, either I let off too much, and the front end just turned, and whatever. I just barely touched the apron, and then the last half I was just kind of in survival mode, or the last third, trying to get a good finish, and then realizing that after I had pitted and came out, and realizing that some of these guys had some pit penalties, some other guys, got a lap down, doing some other stuff, that I could have a good finish if I could make it. And I ran out of fuel coming into turn 3-4. I was out of fuel. So I put the clutch in and just coasted, knowing that I had, 30 seconds on Mark. So I was going to make it. So that was good.
No, even though you had 30 seconds on Mark, it probably felt like an eternity to cross that start-finish line, though.
It was. Yeah, it took a long time to coast, which is amazing, because it's funny, because when you're going out practice and you're sitting there coasting on the track, nobody can catch you. And you want to get in that pack for practice, and it's like, what's taking these guys so long to catch me in practice? So you get into that pack, and then, of course, in the race, it takes only 5 seconds for them to catch up 30 seconds, it seems like. So
did you find that at any point in that last stint that you would have caught Craig, because Murphy was kind of pulling you along quite a bit there?
He was
closing it.
Yeah, I was kind of closing, and then I realized, I started looking at my fuel number, and I'm like, I cannot stay with these guys. Even in the draft, I was burning too much fuel trying to stay with them, just because of that little bit of the push. Craig had clean air, and he had pitted, I think, a lap or two after. So he probably had, a half a gallon left, or
we'll find out.
A little bit less.
He pit
than
on
that.
215.
Yeah, we'll find out.
Yeah. Oh, he on 215. Okay, I think I was on 212, 211, 212. I think. So he had a good three laps extra fuel. So I'm sure he was fine to go, and he was in clean air too. So I just had to let him go. Unfortunately, I was trying to stay with Mark there, and just pull off of him, and then let him go. And just stay with Craig, and then I end up losing them. And I was running in 6th gear, 3/4 throttle the entire lap, trying to make it fuel wise. So,
well, if there is one driver on this grid that has earned an opportunity to get on the broadcast and do some shout outs, it's you. And I know last season wasn't the best season for you. You had some moments that happened on the home front. But I bet it feels really, really good to be where you are here tonight and today, right here with this P2 at Fontana. So take all the time you need for shout-outs, friends, family, sponsors, anyone to say hi to. You definitely earned it, and you are in the championship hunt now.
Thank you. Yeah, special, to you guys, too, at P1 Broadcasting for standing up that so quickly and getting us on air. We really appreciate that. To Gary, you and Andrew for jumping in and helping us out. And then, of course, to Jim Herrick for 4D Racewear. I use his gloves, and they definitely help with that. And then the guys at Dark Horse, AJ, I had AJ and Jeff Heisong in my channel tonight, so that really helped. We had a good conversation and strategy going out throughout the race and stuff like that. Unfortunately, Charlie couldn't make it tonight. He's double booked himself and went to a concert instead. So he missed out on a fun 2.5 hours tonight.
So not bad for you guys, at least on the team channel. All 3 cars in the top 5.
Yeah, it worked out well for us. So, but thank you so much, guys. It's always a pleasure, and it's nice to talk to you at the end of the race and not for admin stuff, actual race stuff. So I appreciate that. No problem at all. And we look forward to seeing how this championship unfolds for you when we come back in a couple weeks at will be September 8th at Pocono. Yep. Thanks, guys. Have a great night.
All right.
Thanks, Eric.
We'll drag you back up to your channel there.
Appreciate that.
All right, let's bring down Craig Forsyth, and we'll find out definitively how much fuel he had left in the tank. Here he is, right here. Craig Forsyth, the winner of the GETTRX 500 presented by The Joy of Driving. Sir, how much did you have left in the tank?
Oh, I had like a lap and a half or something left in the tank. We were very good to go.
I knew you'd say something. I'm like, yeah, I was good to go. That's fine. We could have done a green-white checker if we had that on the schedule. Yeah.
No, well, it was. I think it was the caution with Raf and Mark back at 135 or so that was when I told Jim, it was like, okay, we can make it to the end if we hit these lap markers, and we knew the fuel numbers we needed to hit to make those lap markers. So we just sat there patiently waiting and hoping it would stay green, and I'll be darned if it didn't stay green. That was just amazing.
Yeah, we were talking before I handed over to Andrew here real quick. We were talking, it's like, I asked Andrew, it's like, where are we at with fuel saving? And I think he goes, I think everyone's good to go. We weren't really quite sure how close everyone was. And it seemed like every one of those earlier stints, the caution would come out like right at the end, like you're within 5 to 10 laps from everyone going to pit road. So we could never really gauge where everyone's legs were, so to speak. And sure enough, we thought AJ might be able to make it, and then he pits. And then I think some other people started coming to pit road. We're like, well, can Craig make it? We looked at your number and we're like, yeah. I mean, he pitted later than everyone else, so he should be. But we weren't quite sure, because then we saw cars, like when Peterson crossed the finish line, he was out of fuel. So it was like, well, how much really was in your tank, or did you actually cross under power, or that type of thing? But that was really, really close. When the strategy, when did you determined that the strategy really was at that last caution was Rafi, is like you hit the marks perfectly up until that point to know that you could do it with the one last stop and not have to go for a splash at the end? Is that when you really said you determined that it was good to go?
Yeah, I mean, we knew that foot to the floor, fast, clean air was 36, 37 laps thereabouts. Mm-hmm. Maybe 37, 30. So we knew that, all we had to do was hit that number on the last stint and make the previous, or the two stints before that work out, which, I think it was 40 and 41 laps. And it's why we knew the same when AJ went in on the previous stint. That's when we knew he wasn't going to be able to make it without a huge fuel save. And then he came out and he was, I think, 4 seconds ahead of us. And we're like, I think we've got this. And Jim was cursing the whole time because he'd been on the exact same strategy, and then went for a bit of a flight.
Yeah, he gets himself in these positions in these races eventually, and then something always happens. It's the worst luck, but we will see him get a top 5 out of this series. I know we will. But go ahead, Andrew.
Yeah, I saved a great question for Craig here. I want you to talk about the stamina needed to complete a 500-mile race here, especially on a track that's so bumpy. I'm sure that your guys' wrists are really killing you now on a track like this, when it's so easy to lose focus and just spend 500 miles searching for clean air. And we saw quite a bit of wall taps at a turn 4, yourself included, a couple times, even early on in the race. So how durable are these cars that they could take these hits without you losing a lot of pace? And how difficult was it to keep it off the wall, especially when you're sitting in a fuel safe situation behind a whole pack of cars and trying to make sure that you make it out of the corner safely?
Well, it's very true. Like, yeah, I'm exhausted and my wrists are sore. That is definitely the case. And we were talking about it in their Discord chats. Like, we're all pretty tired right now. But no, I mean, the aero wash was pretty strong. I am shocked. My one hit, I think it was a 2X hit, if I recall, and no damage to the car somehow. So yay. But it was so easy, because it's because you fall into that. It's like you want to stay behind the car in front of you because you're fuel saving, but as long as you're staying in front of the car, you're under the danger of aero washing up. So you've got to pay attention to, are they getting up close to the wall? And if they are, you need to realize you're going to go up that little bit higher. Mm. And so, and I think that was when I did hit the walls. I can't remember who it was that was right in front of me at the time. I wasn't paying enough attention that they were going up high, and I don't remember if they got close to the wall or hit the wall. And of course, I just followed them right into it. So, which, yeah, that's a marker of not paying attention properly. You need to realize that's happening early on and do the lift. Otherwise, it's not going to be a good day.
Well, I will say once again, Craig, you made me look good. I did pick you more, about little less than about halfway. I said you're still my guy, and you made me look good. So thank you once again for making me look good. But make yourself look good here. Do some shout outs, friends, family, sponsors. You are the points leader as far as I can tell. I don't think they posted anything, but a second and a first says you're probably the points leader. So, and you're one of a handful of drivers that have completed 1,000 out of 1,000 miles. So you're halfway through this, and you've completed every single lap and every single mile. So you got to feel good about that. But go ahead, shout outs, friends, family, sponsors, anyone else you want to say hi to. Go right ahead, sir.
Well, I mean, I've even got to thank a lot of the other drivers who were here today were faster than me. It was obvious. I mean, Murphy was faster than me, had problems. Wagner was faster than me, had problems. It's like, these guys are really good, and you need to be on your toes. And I think a lot of this fell to me today, where, yes, I was able to make that strategy work, but we also lost. A lot of the guys ended up a lap or more down to which made it a lot easier to thin the field just enough. So I want to thank all the guys that come out. I realize this is just the summer series, but this has been some good for doing 500 miles races in an off season. This has been some good racing. So thanks to everyone who's been coming out. And I mean, Jim, he's a little gutted by the results for tonight because he was on for a good result. But Jim at 4D Racewear, sponsor for the car, sponsor for the league, sponsor for the broadcast, if I recall. Yes, no.
He's about covered it all. But I don't think he covered the podcast. But we did run his logo. We're going to run his logo anyways because we know he's important.
Yeah, and I mean, you, Gary, and Andrew. I mean, thank you for doing the broadcast. Love the P1 broadcast, and thanks for sticking around with Dark Horse.
Our pleasure. Congratulations. You are the points leader, actually. The points are now out. 94 points. You have yourself a 16-point cushion back to Peterson. And Ed Murphy is there in third. He is 6 points behind Peterson. Yeah, 3 races in, 2 podiums, 1 win, and 2 races to go. So it's looking pretty good for you. Just bring her home. I know Stouffer, who won last week, or last race, has on a long road to hoe for him as finishing last today. So anything's possible, I guess, with 2 races to go, and one of which is Pocono, where we know all you guys run pretty well at. So we will see you there here in a couple weeks. Get your practice in.
You betcha. Thanks, guys. Stay safe.
All right, we'll try to drag him back up to, oh, no, we'll just drag him down into there and let him decide where he wants to go. Well, we talked about it in the broadcast, Andrew, and we're going to just hit on it one time. The importance of minimizing mistakes on pit road and the importance of maintaining focus. We heard it in everyone's interview that it was a momentary loss of concentration. I hit the wall. The momentary loss of concentration. I came to pit road and I sped. We heard it, I looked down at the standings, and all of a sudden I start moving up in the standings when driver X sped on pit road, driver X, Y sped on pit road. We talked about in the race, and reiterate again, the importance of maintaining your focus and also getting on and off a pit road without a penalty.
It's such a hard thing. It sounds so easy. I'm sure that viewers watching you say, "Oh, you just hit the brakes and you enter pit road, right?"
Right.
Or you just turn left and you'll make the corner. It's so much more goes into it. And we were talking, and I saved that one question for Craig, because I know he uses the nice fancy wheel that you can feel all the stutters and the bumps and everything. So, it takes a toll. You don't realize that you're sitting in front of a computer for 2 hours looking at a screen, and any tiny mistake, you get behind some dirty air or something, and next thing you know, you're finding yourself in the wall when you feel like you did the same thing a lap ago. It's definitely something that these guys really work hard for, and all 3 of our podium finishers deserve where they finished today.
Well, before we wrap up the top 5 in points, before we get out of here, Forsyth, Peterson, Murphy. P4 is Stouffer. He's not out of this yet. And A.J. Hobson is P5. Hysong, Lovern, Morales, Cone, Pahutsky, your top 10 with 2 more races to go.
And we have to keep, how many drivers now do we have in the 1,000 mile mark? It's 3.
Yeah, it's Forsyth, Peterson, and Murphy. That's it. The guys that finished on the lead lap today, the same ones that finished on the lead lap at Michigan. So they are the only 3 that are eligible to continue to the 1,500 mile mark. At least they hope so here coming up. So that's it for today. Once again, your podium for the GETTRX 500 presented by the Joy of Driving from Fontana is Greg Forsyth with the win and is now your points leader. Eric Peterson with a fantastic finish for a podium P2. Mark Murphy, not so much happy for the P3, but he's in the points hunt nevertheless, and it will be give it a little sleep, but I'm sure he'll recover and be happy. And they're all moving the tracks that they're all pretty strong at going to Pocono. Join Andrew and myself again for the next Dark Horse 2,000 mile ride event on Sunday, September 8th, as the teams and drivers head to the Poconos for the Tricky Triangle. And let me put that schedule up on the screen here for you. Boop, there it is. It's going to be, the name of the race will be the Watchman 500 presented by the Joy of Driving. Coverage begins around 7 p.m. Eastern. Again, that's 7 p.m. Eastern, 7:00 p.m. Eastern. As always, you can find everything on YouTube right here at YouTube at our channel at P1 Broadcasting. Now, as you know, the YouTube algorithm game is not easy, so please help support P1 with the weekly grind. Leave a comment below. Let us know what you thought of tonight's race, and if you enjoyed tonight's coverage, support us by smashing like in the video, would you? And we see a lot of people have, and we want to thank everyone that participated in chat. Let's see if anybody else. Mark checked in. We got Wagner checked in again. Hugo checked in, and we also got the Jim Herrick for 4D checked in. So again, thanks guys. Your interaction in chat always makes our race much more interesting. If you're new, click subscribe. And while you're at it, hit the bell for weekly reminders so you don't miss out on more of other P1's iRacing programming, which includes, if you give me a moment here, the next P1 race will be next Sunday for the NASR Indy Oval recruitment race number 2 at Kentucky for the Kentucky 100 laps at Kentucky there. That'll be next Sunday at 8 p.m. Me and Ryan Eric King. And then we will kick off the ISRA Truck Series Season 2. Of course, those are a lot of the former Lionheart refugees. Since there's no Lionheart season this year, they're running in that series. Do you want to check it out? 9:45 p.m. Eastern. That's me and Mr. P3, Mark Murphy, will be on the call. So make sure to ring the bell and don't forget to do that, or you'll miss out on the next race. Season-long coverage of the Dark Horse 2,000 Miles Ride Series is brought to you by the Joy of Racing. Looking for entertainment sim racing content? We always are. Look no further than the Joy of Driving. Follow Mark Cohn's racing escapades as he battles for wins and avoids wrecks with cat-like reflexes, all the while providing commentary sure to make you laugh, cry, or do both. Follow along by subscribing to the Joy of Driving on YouTube or like his page at The Joy of Driving. Tonight's race coverage is brought to you by GETTRX, the fastest name in credit card processing. GETTRX should be the only stop for a business owner, regardless of size, for their credit card processing needs. Visit GETTRX.com/WIN. That's /win to learn more how you would increase the money in your pocket by decreasing your credit card fees. The link is in the description. Track cams today provided by Whiplash SimCams. Get the most out of your iRacing experience with Whiplash. To learn more about Whiplash, follow them on X and Instagram, like them on Facebook. All the links are in the description. So for Andrew Wood, everyone here at P1 and the Dark Horse Racing Series, I'm Gary Gotzo saying all thanks for watching. And to all the men and women serving in the military and as first responders, Godspeed, God bless, and come home safe. Catch us again right here Sunday, September 8th in the Poconos for the next race of the Dark Horse 2,000 Mile Ride Series. Good night.